the eventual outcome of your actions and your words, whether you know them or not, are inevitably racist. And if I don't tell you that, we're never going to get to the core of the issue. We're never going to actually solve this problem. We don't have a black mermaid. What else do they have? What else do black people have? No, I would call Eric July an Uncle Tom. 100%. Yeah. 1000%. Eric July is an Uncle Tom. The reason why I think it's okay to call Eric July an Uncle Tom is because I, as a Mexican, I like seeing other Mexicans succeed. And I'll say it again, Eric July is an Uncle Tom. There you go. It's not a slur if you're applying it to an individual. You call it an insult, fine, it's an insult. But it's not a slur by definition. That is not explaining why me calling Eric July and Uncle Tom is racist to BasedLife. Please explain to me why that's racist. You literally just use a racist slur, by the way. That is like what Mexicans consider the N-word. You just called me the N-word, bro. Seriously, is that what you want to do? You want to fucking accuse me of using a slur by calling me an actual fucking slur? Very fucking simple, right? Like, nobody told Eric July to be an Uncle Tom, right? But I didn't choose to be Mexican. It's not that hard.
This dude's over here calling Eric July Uncle Tom. Now, for those of y'all who don't know what that is, go look it up.
Now, I've been using a term for a while. Let's say Uncle T. Let's just leave it at that. And I've been using it wrong this whole time, unfortunately. But primarily, what I'm here to say is I apologize for using that term, you know, and I will not be using it moving forward.
Hey. All right. Well, this is episode 3 of, Just Be Honest. And, there's a specific topic that we're talking about today, and it's, I guess, a specific slur again. So, good times. But we have a special guest with us today, Mr. Tiamat. And I think if you're familiar with our stuff, you're probably familiar with him in the comment section. But it's the Dlord himself. It's Mr. Tiamat. How would you introduce yourself, Tiamat? What would you want people to know about you? What's your kind of relationship? How did you get involved with this whole fandom initiative thing?
How I found out about them initially was I've been on YouTube long enough to know they creep across. Basically, they're one of those people that have crept along my YouTube channels or that I watch because of the algorithm. That's the best way I can describe it. And then after, I've known of, I knew of actual fandom prior, but you don't know why. Maybe they've crossed my feeds at some point.
Yeah, the peripheral or something.
Because, I started in more on Bob, not on Bob, after he had his debate with, what is it? Because I knew of Bob after he got into it with Rags over the Star Wars. It was over the Star
Last
Wars.
Jedi, I believe.
No, it was over Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yeah, you're totally right. Sorry, that was their other debate.
Was that what it was?
You're totally right.
Yeah, he responded
I forgot about
to
that whole Reva clown
he got on
thing.
the
yes.
And I'm familiar with Rags
Yeah, that's how I found him too.
I'm familiar with Rags from Arch's channel years ago. That's where Short Fat Otaku comes from, V comes from, that Kitten watches, Sargon of Akkad, all of them.
Yeah.
So Bob, I just started watching it as he was debating, because I've also been familiar with Bob from his other people coming across EVS, and I'm just like, he's hit across a lot of the spaces, so that answers your question. And then I started in on after I just started looking at his content deeper after he had that last debate with Eric.
Yeah, that was quite a doozy. It's weird. They keep kind of mentioning that Bob won certain portions of that debate, and I don't know, I just kind of don't see it, but it is a masterclass in debate.
I sigh, but he had certain good parts, but then again, you got to realize Eric July is as good at what he does, but I'm also an old school viewer of Eric July back when he was like a nothing channel. Him and had like 80,000 people. He was still a comics channel, and Nerderotic was under him. But that's why you see my debate with talking to Ed. I know the YouTube history of these people.
Yeah, and I'm not as familiar with it. I just know, I watched that debate. It was kind of my intro, I think, into that world. But I just can't see how they'd see that as a victory unless they were just there literally to troll. Like if the idea was just to get him
remember YouTube of today is very different than the YouTube of 2014.
For sure.
And when you go back to the early Google, because that's why someone, like when I've gone through, dealt with their people, like most people see me in comment sections dealing with these people, like dealing with Ed, like Ed was like, I think I'm banned on Dane's channel and both Bob's.
I mean, aren't we all?
I got banned. I got banned from Bob's channel because I tried to get him to rationalize the trans person. It was around the time the Scotland was allowing a man who just transitioned is being charged with rape to go into a female prison.
Yeah, it seems like that's an issue that would warrant some sort of discussion. It seems to me, but
that's exactly
pedantic.
That's exactly what triggered this shit with Dane and Bob. And I, was me saying I don't feel like a woman penis belongs in a female prison.
That's a good point.
And they took high offense to it.
Yeah,
and that was a big case. That was a big deal.
Yeah,
over there.
And that is going to be a little sneak peek of a future episode that we're going to be doing. We actually magically obtained some footage from your long lost conversation with them, so we'll go through that with you, Dave. And I think we've got some additional light to shed on that whole Patrick backstory. So I think that'll be
looking forward to it.
But Tiamat, how exactly did your conversation with Ed start? Was it just you contacted him? Was it supposed to be with Ed, or was it just contacting the initiative?
I just worked my way from one channel to another. I started just doing a deep dive. If you haven't gathered by now, Patrick and DeGray, I do basically analytical, and I just process information quickly. So I started with one, then I go by, who are their associates? How do they act with each other? And it worked down to Ed. And I have nothing against Ed. Ed is adorable, lovable, and despite being a SoCal liberal, he's fine.
Fair enough.
He says dumb things, but
I didn't really have anything against Ed. And then I had a conversation with him, and I don't know. I'd be open to a future conversation, but I don't know, man. I got a couple things against him. It's mainly that he doesn't want to listen, and he goes into ideas really strong-headedly. But
he's good on movies.
I think you got to get him before he has a few cocktails. Is the problem?
See, the thing is, he's good on movies, but in the idea, because this was around that whole time after the whole Eric July thing, they had a huge meltdown in their channels.
I think so. Yeah, and I think there was probably some behind-the-scenes stuff right before my talk with him, too.
You, Greg, came along with him around the time it was the Adam and Stitch.
That's kind of what introduced me to them. But yeah, well,
you start here.
Let's go ahead and see what kind of happened during some select highlights from your talk with Ed.
Dane, Dane, by the way, at least I know not to use the term monkey or hang out with somebody who uses the word Uncle Tom. You guys didn't flinch when he said that the other night. Because you can't call someone racist and bigoted when you duplicate the behavior yourself through deflection.
No, I would call Eric July and Uncle Tom, 100%. Yeah, 1,000%.
But the fact alone you condone that is an amazing. I will say this aged like fine wine.
Yeah, there was some real jewels that you were able to pull out of Ed, especially the way that you kept getting him to actually define it. I feel like that's what I was trying to do with both Bob and Ed, but I don't feel like I actually got them.
Oh, and by the way, for reference, if anyone thinks that's arguing, Dane was attacking me in chat, and he wouldn't say shit. It's kind of like the
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's kind of like do you remember Dane during the Nerdettes newsstand?
Yes, that was
what
I was
wanted to come on the
mention.
stream.
Yes, he kept doing that. Like, tag me in. You got to tag me in, bro. You got to let me in on this.
But he won't agree to talk to anybody. But he never agrees to talk to anybody. But then there he is in the chat every time. Oh, I would have said this. Oh, you didn't do it. I would have said that. Then talk to somebody. Stop being such a pussy.
Exactly. All right, back to this fine wine.
Back to it.
I don't condone him being an Uncle Tom. No.
You condoned Will. None of you said anything to that.
To him calling someone a racist? No, I wouldn't.
No, none of you said that. None of you said balked at Will saying that.
Yeah, because what is there to why should I?
Because of a principled stance that using a slur against somebody is not correct. It's not just fine when it's your side, but these bad guys, when they use it, it's wrong. I don't know. I just can't get behind why he's going in this route. Like, I don't know.
The thing is, you have to understand, it's like if you look at it, wasn't until I know you put it in later, but I'll say this now for people who don't get to that part. It took him being explained to by a black man that he actually was wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely have something to say about that when that comes up. But yeah, big victory on LG's part. That is really awesome that he was able to move Ed in a direction that none of us were able to by talking to him directly. So that's a huge, huge win.
And what I
and
would
good for Ed. He's growing.
say about that, when you see this part with me talking to Ed, is I get him to admit a lot of. It's like I'm used to dealing with liberal types or breaking them down ish. They get the idea. He lives in. You didn't pull the part where I said he lives in a SoCal bubble. Like that's how I warmed him up.
I was kind of trying to. Yeah, you're right. I could have definitely looked at this conversation you had with him in a much more analytical way, like you're saying, and kind of pick out like the best parts. Like this is why it was more successful. I was just kind of picking ones that were kind of directed towards this subject because he is going in really hard-headed about this. That there is nothing wrong with this. It is accurate, which oddly enough, that seems to be Bob's go-to as well. That either it's not inaccurate or he thinks it's accurate when a slur is being labeled.
In
at
his,
Eric July,
you have to understand.
Well, they don't think it's a slur though. He says it's not a slur. But
Fair
I mean,
enough.
I don't know. It's an insult maybe, or it's a way to describe
But
somebody, but
only
it's
towards
definitely
one ethnicity.
racially motivated.
Yeah.
I had
I mean,
something explained to me. I had something explained to me by a person who she's like a 17-year-old black girl from Chicago who works at the place I go a lot, and I have some friends that go there. She's from Chicago, and this is in Texas, right? She is like these people. She says using the R word. You'll see, like if you ever want to pull interesting clips, look at Dane. You calling someone an idiot or calling
Definitely
someone the R word
does a lot of what would you call that? Ableist slurs. He seems to be okay with that.
And then
he's called Patrick out a few times.
This girl that I know IRL, she lives on social media and TikTok. I asked her point blank because she got into it with one of my black friends that has been at that job for a while, and she said it was okay to demean him that way by calling him a house slave and an Uncle Tom because that's her right. And
as a black girl,
yes,
or as a person. I don't know.
She didn't call them racist because that's just like their logic. And maybe going into this, like Dane and them approach everything from like a white savior complex kind of idea.
Yeah.
Like they know their thing, but their positions don't reflect the reality. Or that's the best way I can put it. Because you got to look at them in that context. They look at it from the white savior BIPOC. That's why I told you, Patrick, weather stuff. If you know what the BIPOC views are.
Oh, for sure.
They treat them as a commodity. Which I know is awful to say.
Yeah, it's definitely been brought up that perhaps certain members of their group are just there as a shield. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's definitely been mentioned. That is an interesting way to look at it. But
the white liberals, white savior complex is a very interesting thing.
I think it's an illiberal thing, though. Sorry, as somebody who has identified with the whole liberal thing, I don't know. Like, I just don't see how that would be liberal in any way. I understand, like, we're kind of using it colloquially, like,
well,
we do
that's
in the
how
US,
it is. That may not be the term, like
for sure.
Like a Vosh, right? Vosh is white show, but he speaks down to everybody.
I think he says liberals get the bullet too, though. So I don't. But you're right. But yeah, kind of getting back to Ed on this, he just seems so hard-headed and so sure that he is correct in using this term.
And unlike it is now, Ed approaches this from being a basically Democrat-leaning Mexican, probably second generation, who's been in Southern California, and
I think he definitely had a progression where he's going a little bit more left. He definitely seems to be saying like he is 100% tribal. I'll put it that way. I don't know how far left he is, but he just seems to view anything to the right of him as evil.
Pull messages, but not like
no. Wait. Stop. I hate to pull a stitch here. Wait. he and these guys are very explicit about that word evil. He doesn't want anything described as evil because that's some kind of magical thing, I guess. And
that is unfair of me. Anything to the right of him is fascist. Or I would say fascism is pretty evil, but I understand what he's saying, and that concept of evil will come up in a little bit. So, yeah, very good call out. You're right. I was imprecise with my speech. It would be much better.
Could I give you a
more
hint,
precise.
though? If you ever
Yes,
hear
sir.
a progressive person say the word problematic, it's also code word as well.
Yeah, there is a lot of coded language, and I think we're going to actually hear some of that coming up as well. There's many buzzwords and codes.
I say the
believe...
concept is going to fly over your heads.
Because
when you get into the weeds, it's something we're going to get into. Because we said we're disagreeing.
Well, let's go back to the original issue here, right?
You don't agree saying Rags' name publicly isn't doxing.
I don't believe saying his name publicly is doxing.
Yeah, so that was his name. Had to get that out of there.
Good.
And you guys, as I give you with a courtesy, you are inching that line on your channels to approach.
Is this really the best you got right now? Like some warning?
Well, to be honest, you guys.
So that's the third move that I see. Instead of actually engaging with something, and we can talk about the other two moves, they're going to come up. But sorry, we were talking just before the recording. I forgot that it was not in this. Ed seems to have about 3 moves that I see in conversation. This is that third move where instead of engaging with something, he kind of laughs it off or scoffs it off. Is that the best you've got? Instead of actually talking
it's a laugh and a detraction.
Yeah, but it is a way to pivot away. So just kind of keep that in mind when you hear him talk. A lot of times, instead of engaging with it, he will just act like, why would I even talk about that?
He also has a shit-eating grin.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the most annoying things he does when he's like, oh, why would you do it? It's like, no, like just fucking.
And then he also waves his arm like an inflatable arm.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of that when I was talking to him. Maybe a little more than usual, but I don't have any of those clips. But yeah, I'll show you the other two moves when they come up there.
Later on.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I meant
see it. Watch for his animation and deflection, like the whole look over here.
Fair enough. That is a good point. Okay, I guess he's got 4 moves, but that fourth one's kind of just a tell.
I asked you to just completely.
You hang out with. Is it okay? Is it okay to call you justify? Is it okay to call?
There's the shit-eating grin.
I think it is. Yeah, I think considering the content he makes, 100%.
And what justification?
Well, because his content is inherently against black people having any success in the industry, unless it's under these completely bullshit fucking rubrics that are in no way realistically reflect the current film market.
That sounds.
Yeah, sorry for going over your answer. Your actual answer on this is pretty amazing. I do apologize for pausing right there, but isn't it just extremely, I don't know, it seems bigoted to think that no one could actually succeed unless they're just given some sort of handout with this current market.
Remember what I said? He comes as it from it's like older people who are more successful, like with the BIPOC community, know what to do.
It's a really weird argument from him because he's like, they're perfectly capable, but you think a black guy can't do it, but that's why we have to have a black guy in there. And if you think,
bear in mind, this was about the same.
Then you're racist, and it's like
this was around the same time, though. Not to talk about you, apologize. This was around the same time because it comes from the idea, pardon the phrase, they left the plantation. They're not part of our tribe anymore. They don't reflect it. This is what you see in progressive liberals and progressives and modern Democrats. They want the black community to vote for them and be there, whatever. But if you're a conservative or you have different leanings, like these guys can't define libertarianism. If you're
no, I didn't want to make too many videos, but yeah, I do have quite a few clips of just the inability to like engage with what libertarianism is, and the fact that there could be many flavors of it.
Especially
there seems to only be one
and cap one.
Yeah, and yes, maybe I'll do a future video kind of on libertarianism, and we could bring in some of their clips to how it's strawmanned. But I don't know. I just don't want to focus on them. But
no.
Yeah,
but
I
Ed, what
really
he's
like
doing is his logic in his mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he touches on this concept of Eric doesn't reflect what he thinks the community is, but I want people to be free.
And that's the thing too. Like he's the one putting the preconceived notion of what the black community is. I don't know. It's very strange that Ed gets to decide what is or is not for the black community.
It's not in this part, but you got clips of
it's
him
coming
saying.
up.
You got the one parts where him saying with others, he sometimes will tell on himself, and he calls how black people or a group behaves as a monolith.
Yes, it appears he definitely views them that way. But yeah, I thought your response right here was just like amazing.
a weird position.
Well, let's put it this way, right? Let's put it this way. If I made like Eric July's whole thing, right, is that black actors shouldn't be taking traditionally white roles. They should be taking original roles that are written just for them. Is that correct? You know, that's one of his major things, right?
I mean,
correct? Am I wrong? That's like one of his major things.
So I think there's actually a little stumble, and then you get the actual answer. Sorry for the build-up to
one
that.
of Eric July's major like points of like contention with Hollywood, right, is that black actors. He believes black actors shouldn't be taking over roles that used to belong to white actors. They should be having their own original roles. Is that correct? That's something he talks about all the time.
I'm not aware, but if he wants originality, having original people is not that bad.
Well, okay, that is one of his major things. Okay, because.
I might have cut off more of that, but yeah, like what would be wrong with original characters? I think he keeps saying that there is no box office hits that have like original characters. I don't know. That might be correct currently, that no original IP is being made. But I mean, like, can you not think of just countless examples of original characters that aren't just ones that we've previously seen that are now, you know, race swapped or changed to a different ethnicity? I don't know. That just seems so narrow-minded, especially as, you know, he considers himself a film critic. It feels like he would be aware of like many characters. Like, you know, it wasn't like the top grossing actor from, it wasn't even like the early 2000s into the 2010s, Will Smith. I could be wrong. I know,
Will Smith,
he's definitely had a decline now, but I think it was even into the 2010s and stuff.
See, what he doesn't realize about, I'll say this if you go back, anyone who watched the Sea, rip his talent, like anyone who watches that me talking to Ed for 3 hours and can get through it. The sigh is more of me trying. Me was sighing and trying to rephrase it. So like,
yeah, he would actually elaborate.
It broke my brain trying to. No, but he doesn't realize at one point. He just watches clips like Bob does. He doesn't see in Eric's old background before he started the Rippaverse. He had pictures of black original superheroes all over his walls.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, you know, am I? I mean, I'm not as deep nerd as Ed is, but I mean, am I crazy to think that Blade was like an original concept? I know it was a comic book, but Blade was a character
Storm, and you'll hear references to like
and Blade actually. Again, guys, you may know more than I do on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if we didn't have Blade, the motion picture, we wouldn't have like what all of Marvel, and all
I don't think so.
It's at this point.
It was until like Iron Man. It was the best Marvel adaptation that I.
Awful.
All right, sorry. Back to Ed.
You said you know that I was out of line for calling him an Uncle Tom, and let me explain to you why I think that's a fair criticism to put out. Right. So, you know, he calls himself a capitalist, right? So for me, he has to understand the basics of supply and demand, right?
Anarcho-capitalist.
Well, still capitalist. To be an anarcho-capitalist,
you have to understand
capitalism, which means understanding the concept of supply and demand, right?
But who understands libertarianism?
Okay, dude. Again, you're just being pedantic at this point because you don't want to engage with this.
Hey, the pedantic counter. We've got at least one. So that's his second move. So we've got the whole like deflection, scoffing. Why would you bring that up? I don't know. Instead of engaging, and then we've got the whole pedantic thing. It's just a couple different ways that he can deflect without actually going into it. But yeah, that seems to be move number 2. I wonder if we'll see the third one coming up soon.
I might wipe through the floor with this shit.
Not
right?
really.
I'm not trying to target you here. I'm fucking targeting Eric July, so you don't have to worry about it.
You're so funny, man.
Fucking question. Look, when it comes to Eric July, right? Look, if he understands the basic premises of capitalism, then he understands the concept of supply and demand, right? There's no point in creating a supply for something there's no demand for, right? That's actually how you guarantee failure on the market, correct?
I mean, if there is supply for it, because it's not like the indie comic industry
yes,
isn't
you
open.
completely change what I said, yes. But what I'm saying is, if there's no demand for something, and you try to supply something there's no demand for, your product's going to fail, correct?
Big risk, big dream, but you could probably succeed.
Yes, right. Just if there's no demand for something, right, and you try to supply something nobody wants, who's going to fucking get it? Who's going to want it, dude? Nobody. The XFL.
Yeah.
I'm missing his point.
He's trying to have him walk down a dialogue tree. He won't actually like engage with it. He needs to get him to say yes or no. Then he can move on to the next point. He thinks that he has like
walk down that dialogue tree.
Yeah, I mean, it would be awesome if he actually engaged in a conversation where you explain like, yeah, but okay, then how do you explain why ISOM is so popular? How come like both runs are selling so well?
That was in reference to, right?
Because his friends are racist, bro. They're racist.
Okay, this is in reference. He's been hanging around with Dane and them.
For sure.
They all think, oh, ISOM's not a real thing, right? But look at Razor Fist with his comic and his books. He has a smaller channel than most.
I
but
mean,
he started his own
me,
comic.
Yes.
He started his. No, I said it's smaller in his category.
Oh, in his category. Sorry, you said than most, and I was just like,
yeah,
well,
he's been struggling.
tiny.
Like he's been like he made his own, like judging the Iron Age of comics. These people don't understand. Indie comics were coming up because at the time, right, those of us who are comic fans, it wasn't until recent. Some of us dip out of runs and come back later. Like when you start getting into in reference to my statement there, indie comics do sell. Remember Keanu Reeves was going to make that comic?
Yeah.
And it got a whole pop?
Yeah. Not Berserker, but yes. Yeah, I know the one that you're talking about. Yeah, man, there seems to be interest in that, and it just seems like now we have an easier way for somebody to actually get a hold of underground comics. Like you don't have to go to
because Vertigo is no longer the option out.
Well, so with all these Indiegogo, Kickstarter, you can actually get the comic from anywhere. Like you don't have to hear some underground way of here's how you get the publishing for it, or get in contact with the publisher. Here's who's actually carrying it. I just know a lot of more of like the zines and the comics and stuff that were way underground back in the day.
We aren't going to reference.
You just didn't have the access to it. Where now it feels like anyone could get access to it, even if it costs a little bit more.
Well, Indiegogo has rules, but a lot of people you see, like maybe EVS or them, like Eric today was getting off the stream and he had to go work on the storyboard for ISOM 3 and he has other people working. So it's like these guys are like, they're not working on the stuff. Then you get the weird ones that they go after, like EVS, that takes them like 6 months to a year to put out a comic. But then again, there's printing involved and everything else. Because Eric, you got to understand, comes from a guy who read DC, read Marvel, fell out. So they want an outlet. Back in the day, like one of the greatest indie characters ever made was Spawn.
Yeah, Todd McFarlane definitely.
The whole Spawn universe came out of nowhere.
See, I don't know a lot about all this stuff, so I mean that's an indie comic, Spawn.
It started off.
I don't know what classifies. What makes it an indie comic again? Help me out. I don't know because I don't know anything you guys.
I wouldn't call it an indie. He broke away, started that years ago. Like Todd McFarlane made his character Spawn in a whole separate universe. Gotta remember the whole, like when Spawn was started, and it was like under his own brand, and he's usually referenced as an early like separate character from Marvel that popped up. Even so much so, when King Spawn 1 came out, it sold. It had pre-orders in the millions.
Yeah. I know at one point he was definitely independent, and he didn't come out of the major comic ones. So even back then, the kind of more niche labels were kind of more independent.
What was it? Spawn, now a lot of those. What Spawn? Darkness.
You mean yeah.
Witchblade came out of the same
Witchblade
universe.
Was awesome.
And Jealous.
But yeah.
There's a whole.
There's some fun.
There is so many good characters in that universe, Patrick. Like
it got to be it got out of hand for me. There was too much shit.
For sure.
I was too busy trying to get laid.
I recommend Patrick and others. I recommend reading the original Sandman universe.
That is a fun one too.
I won't do it. But I hope they make a TV show or a movie about it.
They might. You could not.
It's so hard to touch it though.
Yeah.
I like
because
Spawn
I don't think they could. Like Preacher kind of touches upon it. They kind of touched upon the show with Preacher, the original concept of it. But it is
I didn't actually catch that one.
Those are all original characters as well. Like Sandman is the god of dreams. Like
isn't Spawn Tiamat, you know this stuff, or you guys both know it better than me, but isn't Spawn he's an original character, correct? And he's black?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and he got a major motion picture, comic book series, more fucking toys than I've ever seen in my life.
Some people didn't like the movie, but
it was
the movie. So Spawn would fall under the rubric of what like Eric July would consider acceptable according to Ed.
He actually turned it into it. So years later, when he actually came out and bring this back to what it was, he hadn't put out a new series, and I could pull it up when he brought King Spawn 1 came off, because Spawn goes through a whole arc. And it sold it literally was when the first came out, and it was at 1 million plus pre-orders.
Damn.
1.7 million came out for King Spawn 1. And this was... Okay, Image was the company I was thinking of.
Yeah, Image
He
company.
founded Image.
Yeah, I remember that.
So in...
now they're one of the big ones. Well, bigger, smaller labels. But yeah, I think they definitely used to be a lot more independent.
I think I have some here.
Yeah, man. Image is cool. And Dark Horse was cool, too.
Top Cow was also another one.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about Top Cow. Man, there were so many of those ones back in the day.
And
Yeah,
see,
I kind of fell
Vertigo-
off with all those.
Vertigo-
Vertigo, man.
Vertigo was also the one where they would allow DC artists or artists to go that they would actually own their own characters.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Image was the big deal, was he took a risk starting all of this.
Yeah, for sure. And it, I don't know. I really liked the whole Spawn series. I wish they would have gone with. I wish they would have gotten more into that universe. I don't feel like that movie did it justice.
This one was from Image. I gave these to my kid. I got these when
the Max.
The Max, yes.
Oh, dude, I haven't seen that forever. That's another one that I definitely fell off with. I would have liked to have finished that.
I have like 2 boxes of these randomized shit. Like
that's awesome.
I got a bunch. I gave them all to my kid because I'm like, what am I gonna do with them?
Yeah, no, the Max is good. He's legendary. That is a
yeah. Nice.
I don't know. He's got a bunch of shit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I thought Max was cool as fuck. That was from Image.
Yeah. No, I love the artwork in the Max, man. Like those were just
cool.
awesome.
There was a cartoon for a little while too.
I think so. I never actually caught that one back in the day. Everything was like way harder to catch before the internet. Now you can kind of have it at your time. You didn't have to find tuning and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. I guess let's get back to Ed.
Let's go.
The XFL. Nobody wanted the XFL when it first came out, right? So it went away.
XFL.
Nobody liked
it. Was that NFL substitute. But he's just trying to bring up an example of, okay, here's something that people didn't want and it went away. I don't think he's brought any proof that, a authentic character could not be popular if that character is, an original character of color. I don't know. I think he's just missing that whole, we don't see this character as authentic. It seems like this is ham-fisted, and you're saying, here's this, I don't know if I'd say hand-me-down character, but it's just, this isn't something that was created for the actual art. Instead, it was just like, here, we've changed this.
It was created as the alternative. Vince thought it would be a good idea to have a different...
Oh, the XFL. Yes. Oh, sorry. That's the other huge thing. The XFL was Vince McMahon's version of football as well.
Oh, okay. I remember now. Okay.
It was kind of like the junior league of the NFL with a little bit more physicality.
Wasn't it like inside too?
Yeah, I think you also couldn't do the, what is it? You couldn't do a fair catch. So you had to run everything. It was supposed to be more extreme. The X part.
Girls.
Yeah. They like it when you get broken bones and stuff.
Good.
It failed because there was no demand for it. Listen, dude, this is basic supply and demand. If you don't understand this, Tiamat, maybe you should go back to middle school and
you make the most random straws. There's really
no straws here. It's not a straw man. It's a basic fucking concept. I'm not even creating.
I say you draw the most random straws.
Because it's so basic, common sense that if you understand any other thing, it makes sense, right? Listen, it's stupid. Eric July's whole argument let me get to it. Eric July's whole argument and why I think it's okay to call him an Uncle Tom is that it's okay to fucking hate on these black actors because they're taking these opportunities because they used to be white, blah blah, whatever. If you look at the current film market, hell, if you look at the film market or even the comics book market, TV, all that over the past 20 years, original characters do not sell. They don't. Original movies don't sell, right?
So fair enough. In his,
you cut it off right before I say Monica Rambeau.
Yes. So I did want to just bring up the examples that we used were Blade and a lot of Will Smith stuff. I know Will Smith has had popular movies within the last 20 years, but I think Blade was outside of that range.
The reason why I say this is aged like fine wine as well, and I had this moment, because since whenever she got the powers, for those who do not know, like Monica Rambeau, who I bring up here in a second, she had her own power set linked to Luke Cage.
Oh, nice. I didn't actually know that there was
in the Defender series. Well, I think it's the Defender series. Then she eventually gets the Captain Marvel powers. Oh, and lo and behold, she's going to be in the Captain Marvels too, which is suffered from a massive rewrite.
Yeah, but yeah, sorry for cutting off. You are about to mention Rambo right here.
Yeah, simple as that. Original characters don't fucking sell.
So you're going to go on the record.
So let's put it this way.
So I'm
right?
going to say you're going to go on the record and basically, while you think about it, original characters don't sell. you're going to go off the reason why they have rebranded Captain Marvel 2 multiple times. Monica Rambeau doesn't sell on herself by herself.
I don't think anybody knows who Monica Rambeau is, bro. Listen, the point that I'm getting across is this. The reason why Eric July isn't Uncle Tom is that he constantly criticizes the success of other black people for this whole idea that they're takeover roles that quote unquote used to belong to white people and shit. Right?
Have you ever actually heard him do that? So maybe I'm unaware of it. I don't constantly follow Eric July. I've heard him criticize that they are doing this to a character. I haven't heard him attack a black person for taking the role. Am I wrong in that? Are you guys aware of a time that he's attacked a black person for taking the role?
They do pick on him a lot for this. One did my research on him for like saying Miles Morales is not Spider-Man.
But is he picking on like the actor who's portraying Miles Morales, or is he saying, "Hey, I don't think this character is authentic. I think he should have his own moniker, his own."
All right, we're digressing too much, though.
Yeah, getting back to this. Ed's point was, sorry. Yes, let's get back to Ed's point.
Right? What Uncle Tom means.
Let me get to it, right? When the market does not allow any other avenue for success other than to take over an already established character, right? If a black person is going to succeed in the current film market, they're going to succeed because they're taking over a character, not because of some woke agenda, but that's because that's what the audience wants, baby. That's it. It's simple fucking capitalism. And fucking Eric July, as a fucking anarcho-capitalist, someone who has to understand the basics of capitalism to be an anarcho-capitalist, understands that. So he is.
So you're going to define, by the way, so you're going to define an Uncle Tom that way.
Homie. I'm not done talking. The reason why it's okay to call him an Uncle Tom, right, is because he understands the basics of supply and demand. He understands.
Let him hang himself.
You got him a little flustered here. He's
let him hang himself.
Going, but yeah, you're right. Verbally, he is definitely laying his own. I don't know what you would call it other than noose. You're right. He's about to hang himself with his own words.
Basically, okay.
Original characters.
Yeah. Sorry. Go right ahead.
I'll explain later. But
okay, we will explain this. But yeah, let's watch this masterpiece unveil itself.
Are not fucking selling, and he's out there fucking shitting on the success of other black people, right? Because they're not succeeding under a fucking premise.
I don't know. That's the part that I really take umbrage with, though. Like, I haven't seen him actually shitting on the success of other black people. I've heard him criticize that they are, belittling this character, essentially making it a hand-me-down. But I haven't heard him actually criticize the
only
actor.
time I've ever seen him do it, and you'll see it referenced in Dane's channel, is he went after T. Franklin.
Yeah, but she's the creator, so I think he was more. So she's the one that created Sunspider, right? She created Sunspider. She's a Just give you a little background on this, and I've tried to. I wish so explain if anyone doesn't know. Like when he got into it with her, she called him out on Twitter. She is paralyzed, a paralyzed black woman who happens to be a lesbian or bi. Yeah, and it appears that a lot of her characters might be self-inserts, but I don't think that he's just calling out like how dare you be black. Like it doesn't.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Wait, but are we getting to this, or are we just completely going to skip the fact that Ed just said that black people can't get by on their own merit without us?
There's that too. It appears to be a very bigoted position on his part.
But there's two
That,
problems.
they're
I'm not
going to
ignore
or can't do it.
I'm not going to ignore that. But before I move on and say this, he mentions they creep into IPs and take over IPs. That's not capitalism. That's subverting the IP.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's just the market has chosen this. It seems to be there's an ideological push that is now somehow controlling what's allowed in the market. That doesn't seem like direct capitalism to me. But then again, I don't have this vast understanding of capitalism like Ed does. So
because remember,
maybe I just need to listen more.
Remember, if someone wanted these ideas, they wanted all these people to take over these roles. I think it was I forget who was doing the Black Zod Superman story. They were going to do that story. The HBO movie was
Zod.
No,
I mean, it sounds like an awesome character to me.
No, he is of a. There's actually the funny thing is, there's actually a very good, successful like version of Superman that's black. He's of like Zod's lineage, but he's like the multiverse one.
Cool.
But like they were going to do it as during one of the relaunches of the Superman movies. But they were going to go with Val-Zod, is his name.
Jean Val-Zod?
Val-Zod, yeah. Yeah, him. Huh. And it was like, I forget who the guy was, but it was like, who tried to champion that, and it just didn't sell, and they abandoned the project.
I know I kind of was out of DC for a while.
Would have to be so racist about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it was just, capitalism. I don't know. But yeah, it does seem like Ed is sneaking a bunch of premises in here that are, I don't know, they seem to be bigoted in my opinion. But he doesn't seem to be able to see it on his own. You did a great job of kind of fleshing out, or getting him to flesh out what his position is. So yeah, way to get under his skin in the way that he actually just kind of blew up and explained. It was great.
It's like he thinks it's fair, even though the fucking market doesn't support it, and he knows it. So yeah, dude, if you fucking hate on the success of your own kind of people, right, because of some puritanical fucking hang-up, and then you make an entire career where you just hate constantly on the success of your own race, of your own kind, you know?
I have no idea where you see this in people.
Just because it doesn't fall into this bullshit fucking rubric, now let's face it, it's pushed upon mainly by a white audience and not by anybody else, you know? Yes, it sounds like you hate the success of your own kind, and if you do that, you're kind of an Uncle Tom. So that's why.
That just seems so weird. Have you ever heard?
There is so much wrong with what he just said.
Apparently, I don't know. I've heard a different term used to kind of explain the same thing that he is explaining there.
I would not call it. This is when he didn't understand, like, the idea of an Uncle Tom, or like what you call like a house slave, right? It was referred to a black man who would turn in their own kind. Got turned into that.
Well, yeah. Not just that, but they would ingratiate themselves with their slave masters of the white culture.
Because remember, this was along the same time when I had this discussion with him, and it was about the same time they were doubling down, saying to the day, he is just a servant of Glenn Beck.
Yeah, so I could understand it if that's where he was going to go with this argument, but I've never heard the additional part of you're looking for your own race to fail. Yeah. I don't know. That doesn't seem to be.
That's never been Eric's case.
Part of it. Yeah.
It's never been Eric's case. This has
exactly.
Been. Eric has always.
You have to do better, Senator.
Mm-hmm.
Eric has literally been the guy on YouTube at one point that has championed their cause. Like, he wants them to be like he would. That's why when I asked them, we'll just have to get through this event, like play through it. But you got to understand, they don't know the channels they talk about. They've never seen him pass like maybe some hyperbolic clips.
Yeah, you're completely right. They don't actually watch the content that they criticize.
They aren't
Instead,
familiar
they just watch
that
clips.
Eric has at one point championed it. He was, like as I said, he had all black original characters on his wall in Marvel.
Yeah, for sure. And I do like your response to Ed here as well.
I am justified in saying that.
That's not what that means. That's why you call him a grifter.
I know what an Uncle Tom is, bro. All right.
What is it?
It's called, Uncle Tom is someone. It's a historical fucking term for a black person who turned in their fellow slaves to their owners when they were trying to run away. It's inherently a traitor, is what it means, right? Yes. Yeah, dude.
Finally got there.
If you're constantly fucking ranting against the success of your own fucking people, you're a hater.
I don't know. I guess I just don't hear.
You should have seen the chat. His own chat was calling him racist.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, the fact that
I think Ray and I
he
were
keeps
both
bringing
there,
up,
right?
Yes. I actually didn't catch this live, but yes, it was right around this time, and that kind of blew me away. Just like how. Yeah. I don't know, over the line it seems to be, but yet so headstrong and just so sure of himself he is that, like, no, this is fine. It's a historical term. It's like you do understand a lot of these slurs are also historical terms. That doesn't in any way excuse it. Like, that's nowhere near any sort of justification to be able to use it, to be able to call someone that. On top of that, just sneaking in that same premise again that Eric July is against his own people. He is rooting for them to fail. I haven't seen that.
Remember.
Unless you're talking
you need to remember is during his debate with, or when Bob talked to Eric, what got Bob in trouble was the fact, like, if you go to one part of that about Miles Morales part before and several times, Bob himself was saying, do you hate your own race?
Yeah, it seems to be an idea
that was in that.
Stuck on.
That's when Bob got shit on by all of Eric's. They came onto his channel and in his chat and started that. Because he was laying down
That's a
these
huge
arguments.
accusation.
He was laying out an argument on Eric in that debate, like you see Ed lay out here.
It's crazy
that he hates his own kind.
That is just
and Bob,
seems like a despicable
Bob
claim.
Bob is whiter than fucking and Gray and I put together. Like
I might have him beat. Get some okay lighting in here, but
I don't
man,
know,
I'm
man.
damn near
He's got the light.
translucent.
He's got the light hair.
You know, you say
what's funny
Gray, you
is,
say this, but I'm Irish myself. Part of the
Oh, an
I have
Irish
very
boy.
Irish heritage. If I would be translucent as crap given on the day.
Remember,
yeah,
Bob used a similar kind of justification about Uncle Tom when he was talking to Tristan from Nerdette's Newsstand.
Yes.
And he's like, you do know that there is a movie called Uncle Tom, and
which
it's
he
like,
wasn't
yeah,
aware
man.
of until I talked to him, and I tried to tell him like this movie is all about like the historical ramifications of why this has become a slur, why this label is offensive to people, why people are being mislabeled with it.
I saw a response. I saw a response by somebody who is a fan of Nerdette's break that down, that he has supposed a breakdown of that movie, but I would not necessarily want to go over that because it would. I wouldn't go over that myself to sit down and watch him go over it because that could go wrong so many different ways. But his whole thing was it wasn't meant to be a bad term. The so-called racist groups that were still in power at the time, like, bear in mind, try to find a racist nowadays. They're like a needle in a haystack. You can't find a Nazi anymore. They're doing salutes.
They're everywhere. What are you talking about?
They're doing they do salutes in there, bro. In the South, I've heard like Dane mention this. Where the hell are they? They're doing salutes in the closet.
You see,
you're not getting the newsletter.
Yeah, are you not aware of? I seem to see this problem that Ed was bringing up, the whole supply and demand thing. I'm not sure that the supply quite meets the demand for this whole, true racist thing. And I think that's the problem with this creep of calling everything bigoted or racist as opposed to...
Even in the most backwoods area, I don't see this. This crap has died out. Like, try seriously. One of the YouTubers I watch, Archcast, Arch Warhammer, formerly, he's made this point as well. There's a whole story to that I'll share with you in private. It's very funny when you make an enemy of a wide-known company. This is why I know about gaming, like a lot of like Watsy and them. He makes this point of like echoes a lot. When was the last time you saw it openly? We vilified Nazis so bad, and I know this point because of history. We made them so evil, and we set the post-World War II period with the Holocaust as a foundation, into the foundation myth that the rest of the century was based upon. We hoisted them onto a pedestal as the most evil things ever. They eventually just died out. It's just like Klansmen. Go somewhere. Their membership is all historic low.
Yeah.
And many people
I think that
don't
seems
realize
like a victory, and it's something that probably should be kind of...
And many people don't realize this. I learned this the other day. Until Wilson,
the neighbor
until Wilson, Woodrow Wilson, who was president, until Wilson entertained and showed that. Okay, this is actually a known fact. By the time they were beginning to die out by the 1920s, and Woodrow Wilson, when he was president, who is a confirmed like progressive and white racist, gave them a platform and they grew again. And then they went back to the shadows like after like 20 years.
Yeah, not all progress is definitely moving forward.
So when you're talking about these monolithic things, go find these people now. I think Klan membership is like 5,000 people.
I hope it's even less, and I hope
it's less too. But this is my example: is where do these people see this? How do you walk down the street? I don't want to
speak for Ed, but Dane sees them everywhere, and it seems like
because he's got mirrors around his room.
it could be, when all you have is a hammer, and it's true. Maybe these guys are seeing bigots everywhere because they do have such bigoted beliefs. But I don't know, just the way that he's explaining Uncle Tom here, I don't know. It's definitely not the way that I've ever heard it explained.
And
it just seems so much concept correct.
Like, you cut out the part where he is a hypocrite on his own. Mm-hmm. He was going to basically say Rags put that on his IMDb.
Yeah, I did cut out that. There is some backstory that the audience definitely should be aware of. Ed put together an entire stream, including like a thumbnail with Rags'
actual
photo. His actual name was in the actual thumbnail. He was gonna go over a complete doxing stream of Rags, but he already put out the thumbnail and the this coming up episode, which had his name fully written out, his picture fully on it.
And then
he essentially doxed him, but he just threatened that he was going to do it in an upcoming stream.
they got it off of the Rags thread that was on Kiwi Farms.
Yeah,
and if anyone's not familiar,
that as well.
Kiwi Farms, to my knowledge, I say this as of now, is pretty much got their IP pulled. They were canceled, and this was what it wasn't until like Keffels used them as a beat stick.
Yeah,
but, well, I think that Ed for sure got a reaction out of people because I think people from all different YouTube communities were coming together into his chat that day. That's actually when I met Tristan that way through Ed. Because she was doing a stream about it prior to him doing it, and she was like, "This fucking guy." And then pretty much when it was over, she's like, "Let's go!" And we all jumped right over there, and it was like, "Don't fucking do this."
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if he got a strike for that, but everyone said that they were going to report him. So also in saying that he was going to have this stream, he completely said his name again, showed his picture,
and they dropped it.
Your stream actually ended up becoming the one that was supposed to be.
He was going to redo it.
Stream.
He was going to redo it, and then the whole initiative people dropped it.
I think that may have been the final straw with them. So I have no idea what happened behind the scenes.
Well, see, what I think I'll say this: what I think happened with this when I
had a bad breakup.
So what I think happened with all of this is when about this period occurred, because what the stream was, you see a lot of him was I got them because I did my research, and as you can tell, you listened to the whole thing. People who the 3 hours, I nailed him to the wall on everything, and I nailed Dane's whole group on it.
Yeah, and they wouldn't respond to any of that. The only thing they will talk about is the very end of the debate, which was kind of you tried to talk about a different subject.
You cut out the really good part. Is I recommend
I cut out a lot of good parts on this. There were a lot of good things you did.
There's a good part because I got Ed to admit, because prior to this he gave me a golden nugget. He was like, tear down all the statues parts.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to keep this bare bones just to the whole concept of the slur.
We're having a hard time getting through this part.
But yeah, there's definitely so much to be said about that entire conversation, and they will not talk about any of it. It's just that little chunk at the end that is the only thing that they'll ever talk about this. But yeah, man, I think you set everything kind of in motion. Everything kind of was moving in one direction, but this seems to be the I don't know what you want to call it, the first domino that creates all the other flaws and cracks and everything to keep moving. Yeah, for sure. It was a really fun conversation to see. So yeah, if you haven't seen it out there, go check it out. It's on Ed's channel. It was his former doc stream, now Tiamat Talk.
You hate your own kind. Simple as that. You're an Uncle Tom.
You didn't know who Blurred Without Fear was.
What the fuck's that got to do with it? Dude, listen, ultimately,
there was that animated thing again.
To call Eric White and Uncle Tom is because I, as a Mexican, I like seeing other Mexicans succeed. As long as they're not fucking doing
I am very tribalistic, and I only like people who look just like me, is what I just heard him say in that statement. But I don't understand how that in any way adds to Uncle Tom. I don't know. It just seems so weird that he keeps smuggling that thing in there. But yeah, I guess that's the way he wants to use the word.
Drugs or whatever, dealing drugs or human trafficking, cool. I like seeing other people of my race succeed. Even if it's whatever, if I were to fucking hate on the success of my own kind because that could have been a white person's job, don't you think that'd be a little sus?
I don't know. I don't think that's a fair way of saying, hey, this doesn't seem like honest representation to say, oh my God, this is a white person's job that you've taken away. I haven't heard anyone like that argument or anything like that. I've in fact heard a lot of the same people
jabs,
who are upset with the proper representation, also being upset with like whitewashing back in the day.
I want to say this. I'll let to go restroom really quicker with that, but I'm assuming because I was thinking about this when he said this and he repeated this on a stream the other day. He said, so he must hate the show Narcos and all telenovas. Teledrama.
Possibly, if it's not authentic or if it doesn't represent them in the correct way.
But just be aware. Last I checked, though, he is Mexican. That's not the meaning on him.
Well,
they have an altar to Pancho Villa down there, and he's a very revered person. And
yeah.
Pancho Villa has if you know of him.
I don't know if the statues would be holding up here quite as much. We seem to be going after people who have possibly done less.
that'd be
Don't you think that sounds like I kind of hate one race more than the other? Right.
Although it does kind of sound like he is saying that, if he's saying that he wants success for people of his own race. I don't know. Maybe it's my privilege, but I've never thought, you know what I need is more white people's success. Instead, it seems like, hey, this isn't an authentic representation of this character. Why don't we just have an original character? I don't know. It seems weird the way that he keeps framing this. He keeps sneaking in these concepts, but not explaining it.
Do you see it now? Do you get it?
I'm not saying I agree with you, but
do you at least get it? Do you at least understand where I'm coming from when I say that?
I think
I get what I get his logic, but
do you at least understand my logic?
Okay. Ed was on that stream that Will said that, and he didn't say anything.
No, he didn't even seem as enthusiastic as he was in your conversation. That seems to be the first time that he just really was so enthusiastic about that and just kept coming out so cavalier. And that's why I wanted to use those clips, because it actually leads into what we're about to see right now, which just happened. I believe it was I can't remember the exact date.
There's 2 streams he did recently.
Yes, and there are actually 2 streams kind of included in this. The pertinent part of one stream from 2 days ago. But Patrick had a fun interaction with Ed in this. Let's kind of take a look at how it devolves.
Let's look.
Let's see who are we talking about right now. We're talking about Clownfish, a BasedLife. This guy puts a lot of
that
effort.
handsome fellow who keeps asking questions.
Don't know. We're about to get to know him right now. Don't know. We're about to get to know him right.
I barely got through
Japanese toilets are crazy
before I turned it off.
Yeah, Ed is not the best at reacting to things. He doesn't allow them to finish. And then, I guess I should mention he has been drinking a lot, kind of heavily throughout this. So
he's fucking tanked through this whole thing.
I had to actually stop.
He's at a 4 out of 10 according to him. But
I actually had to stop watching this. I literally, I couldn't take this anymore.
Yeah. So his reviewing of it doesn't seem to be that, I don't know, illuminating, and it doesn't seem like he's getting much out of it, but I don't think he's able to kind of focus at this point, was the whole reason why I was bringing up his drinking. Yeah. Who cares if somebody drinks? But I don't know, if you're going to try and break down what somebody's saying.
And the thing in this one, though, I don't know, and I didn't notice it till you pulled these clips, Gray. You didn't know, probably off. I didn't know Rip a Goalpost came into his channel.
Yeah, I wanted to include more of that, but it wasn't as pertinent to Patrick's story.
Oh, he screwed up if he got Rip a versus Goalpost in there.
Yeah, well, these guys keep going after Eric July and Eric's fans. But wow, there is actually a 5th move that Ed has. We'll see move number 3 come up in just a moment, but that 5th move is just blatant homophobia. That one, we'll see that rear its head quite a few times in this as well. And that is mainly towards that
main rule is rules for thee, not for thee.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to want to accept any of them for his own side. I don't know. And that's kind of the whole thing with the Dane thing as well. I just don't see him excusing anybody on the opposite side for saying that. And I don't think Ed would either. But let's hear what Ed has to say.
Cool. Even Rachel and June's channel, Space Toilet. It's a whole talk about a bidet.
Space TV bidet. I don't think that would work.
Let's see where they are these days. Counterculture into the grifter. Dude, I like that. That's great.
I don't think we need more Eds. I think we've got more than enough Eds. We don't need multi Eds.
Let's watch Clownfish here.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about brown hobbits again.
It's a day that ends in Y. This actor's out there.
I guess I could have cut this down a little bit.
Yeah.
The world is
But that's what this is
black
about.
people on TV, pictures of fire and destruction on the thumbnail. That's very true. I like how he just says it up front, right? Well, here we are talking about brown elves. Dude, if the absurdity of that, the absurdity of
want the
that,
nuance
whole video complaining about an elf, a fictional creature being brown. If you think that's absurd enough to make that joke, man, what are you even doing here, dude? What's all this?
He knows nothing.
Let's talk about the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and I think he kind of points that out, that I don't know anything about it, but this Gary guy.
This is where I give him credit. I have, as much as I shit on him, he actually admits it in this part.
Yeah, and I think he says that he's watching the old movies, which I would like to go back. Old movies now. They don't feel like they're so old, but compared to what
Gray,
was on Amazon recently.
Gray, don't get the Amazon ones.
No, that's what I'm saying.
The Peter Jackson are really good.
Amazing.
Now, if you want to watch the really old one that's based on the original books, go back to the Cellmation ones.
It's pretty fun. The pacing
that's
is
what
a
I grew
little
up
off
on.
for me, but I loved those. Yeah, same. I
It was
remember
the
renting those from the library.
it was the cell. I think it's called Cellmation. You might get corrected on that, but it was a very
Yeah.
interesting animated style, which was like
For
live
sure.
action. But that is
Yeah,
when
I
you
do
go.
remember
I just
that
like
one.
the music. The music was great. The greatest
See, that's the thing.
journey. I love
Oh
that
yeah,
shit.
but you could tell it was. But that's when you get really classic. And the fun fact is, the magic set that Dane has and all these normies talk about, one of the special sets, the little special like side products, actually used images from that, and I'm just like, wow, that's
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, at least he's admitting that he's not an expert of this. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Would it then be your place to say, how dare this other person who is an expert or who does love this property isn't loving it the right way and isn't just accepting changes to it as somehow they just, I don't know. I don't get how he
it's
gets
very
that's because they don't like
It's
black people.
this part though when he criticizes like people like Clownfish or people he dislikes. Yes, Clownfish is borderline insufferable.
I don't watch much of their stuff, but
I
what I'm saying,
get you.
it's kind of cool.
I've never
I kind of
heard
like
of
that it's a couple.
them.
It's good. Okay, they are
Yeah,
former
that's neat.
people. They are former people who used to work for Disney, and then they do.
That's what I saw. It was kind of some of their Disney coverage, and it
They
seems legit. They seem to
they
have
are
inside
very
information.
much. They used to work for them, and then they go do other stuff. They do know their own version of nerdom in their section
For sure.
But you'll see. You know, I don't want to get too much. But,
But they seem all right. But yeah, none of us are way
they
too
hate black
familiar
people.
with them. Apparently, yeah, that's what I'm getting from Ed.
Yeah.
Rings of Power
According to Ed,
season
everybody
2.
doesn't
They
like
want to
brown
remind
Somebody's got to talk about it.
Watch
true.
this. They want to
According
remind
to
you
Ed.
that this show exists because remember, guys, remember, only 37% of viewers finished the Rings of Power. That's very bad.
That is bad. I didn't like the show, but I want it to succeed because Amazon has sunk so much money into it that I fear if it tanks, it could tank their whole online thing.
it won't.
I hope it's not because I think there's potential with like Wheel of Time. It was executed very poorly, but I have hope that IP is so amazing it needs to be put out there.
Oh, Wheel of Time, Gray.
I'm
Such
a
a
huge
separate
fan.
is a separate.
I know, but if the whole with the amount of billions they've put into Rings of Power, if it really flops, I would hate for that to kill that side of the company.
Here's where they got.
I got like 20 minutes into it and turned it off.
Okay,
It wasn't for me.
Well, doing
Fair
it.
enough.
Where Amazon screwed up, you'll see this when you look at Dane or them. I think they started covering everybody. Ed still randomly talks about. So Rings of Power was based upon. They
Parts
only
of
got
it.
Amazon only got the rights to the films.
Mm.
Not the anthologies, not the indexes, but they insisted on doing the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
And it's not like with a pre-existing universe, they go, oh, they cast like the guy who was the Black Elf, right? Like he was literally, by the way, if you ever, I can't watch the series because I would be bored because like, I'm sorry, by the time she took the volcano to the face, I would wish she got burned alive at the creation
She
of
was
Mount
not
Doom.
a very sympathetic character. I did watch the whole thing. I didn't enjoy it. I just
the
think there's so many
butchering of the
poorly
Lord,
executed
that's how Mount
things.
Doom was created.
Well,
But
if
even
it's
like the
hair-
text that they put on the screen and everything, I don't know. Like, there's so many things that I just think were really bad choices. But we're technically not there to review this. But I hope Amazon keeps making series. I've been kind of interested in some of the IP they've chosen to kind of bring to the forefront.
Just to give you the idea, they're going to go into potentially the Fall of Numenor or their version.
Yeah,
And
I think that's where you've
don't-
got to go with that. But now you at least know what the hell, the giant twist at the end that nobody could see coming. But yeah. Anyway, getting back to Ed, let's actually dissect what they're saying and totally engage with it.
By Amazon's own.
Tell you guys, man, the total the Holden Caulfield thing going on here, dude. They're just putting this out there.
Yeah, so that's kind of his third move. Is he then calls people Holden Caulfield, whether
What
it
is
like
that?
fits. So it comes from a novel where essentially a guy keeps calling people inauthentic. They're all phonies, and he was the only one who really understood. And then he kind of understands that that was a shitty position. I don't know why he sees everyone as that. I've heard like a couple theories that maybe he's only ever read like one book, so he just sees everybody as that character. I don't know. I'm sure he's read a few books. I wouldn't want to be as uncharitable to him as that. But he has called me that in thumbnails, and I think I have clips of him calling like 4 or 5 other people Holden Caulfield in one of our old videos. I think the first one we did. So I don't know. It just needs to be a go-to move. I don't think he's going to explain how he sees these people saying that it's phony. Maybe he's somehow equating it to they don't see it as authentic Rings of Power or authentic, Lord of the Rings. He doesn't ever make that clear, so I'm not sure the connection. And I think that could be, the alcohol with him. He's making loose connections and assuming that we're following him, but he's not really explaining it. Yeah. But that's, if I want to be charitable, that's where I'm thinking he's calling it phony or inauthentic.
And to be fair, I think he was a little drunk by this point. He has that glassy drunk eyes that he can't keep track.
Yeah.
And he's also reading chat the entire time too.
Yes, really and we're not here to really dissect his reaction, but I didn't cut out much, unfortunately.
We're trying to be as charitable as possible with it.
Yes,
yeah, I'd like to be. It's a little tough, but yes, let's try.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What do you Yes, of course they are. Do you want a fucking cookie or something?
Metrics, everybody talking about that. That's not an alt-right YouTube grifter thing. This is fact. Most people who started the show did not finish it, but they probably committed to multiple seasons. They did. I think it was like 5 seasons up front. Now we have another problem with season 2. The showrunners were not allowed to make any changes to the scripts because of the writer's strike. So this one might be even worse.
It was mostly done, though, I believe, when that happened. They were trying to get in there before the...
Yeah, that is a lot of bad news. And then hearing about the writer's strike, too, I don't know. Well, the writing wasn't great in the first one, so could it be worse? I don't know.
Well, see, the thing you bring up is Amazon took, and this was Jeff Bezos's baby. He wanted to do the Lord of the Rings. And
it's a cool story.
And the thing is, Amazon tried to do with what they want to do with Rings of Power, what they tried to do with New World. What would it's a scenario. What would happen with a company with infinite amount of money? Could they pull off a successful game? But realistically, you see it. But like with Rings of Power, right? They tried, but he instantly slated 5 seasons.
I gotta tell you, if the show is half as boring as listening to you guys fucking talk about it, I there's no hope for it because I'm sitting here
it's even worse, and the choreography is even worse than our conversation. So yeah, man, you probably wouldn't enjoy it.
Okay, here's the thing I don't like about Clownfish TV. Right? And why, why I don't like to cover them too much. It's just because they're just too much chatter. Like first of all, they seem like a happy married couple. Good for them. I'm happy for them. But
doesn't
when that kind of makes you annoying,
it
just kind of sucks. Just talk about the Rings of Power, dude. Just get to the fucking story here. I'm glad you include your wife and all this shit, but having the two of you just ramble on slows things down so much that I can't even hate watch.
Listen to what you're saying. Listen to your criticism of the
child. Though, here's the thing: the self-report on all these guys, right? That again, the headline is Rings of Power stars slam racist trolls with post-diverse casting. All right, listen. Why else would you fucking be mad about the diverse casting if you're not a fucking racist, dude? Honestly, simple as that. Especially
it's that simple. So either you accept every single bit of recasting in any way, or you're racist. I mean,
what? I want
it's simple.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Look, man, if you don't, I think I heard this from a perp who supposedly has worked in the industry at some point. They went out of their way to cast the guy as the Black Elf. Which loosely you could say he's based on the gray elves, which just have brownish hair or smoky color hair versus looking ephemeral. But
and I don't even know that much of the lore. I didn't think he did the greatest performance. I wasn't really
he was
a
flat.
There.
He was the biggest criticisms of him, and outside of it is he was just a model.
Yeah,
a placement model.
It just seemed really flat.
That. He wasn't animated. That's why the girl in the village was more animated than him.
And I don't know if that's by design because elves are supposed to be more stoic or more detached. And maybe, but that's not the same way that Galadriel was portrayed as well. So I don't know. It just didn't seem consistent.
It's Galadriel.
Galadriel. Sorry, I've heard about 4 different pronunciations, and I feel like I've been corrected every single one that I do.
But,
so I used to just say Galadriel, and then I was told it was Galadriel. So I've been trying to do that, and now it's Galadriel.
No, it's called Guy. Okay,
I understand the
guy.
I've definitely heard the memes and seen the awesome artwork that people like to put out there. But I don't know. There were some really cool options for fight choreography there, and I think they just dropped the ball so bad on that with Galadriel. But as for this guy's performance, like Galadriel.
The reason why she gets called by the way, the reason why she gets called Galadriel, and I love like Nerderotic, he got like it's several things. It was because she was acting like a guy, and they tried to recapture the magic of Xena. You know, the writer loves Xena Warrior Princess.
I mean, it was a pretty magic show. Like, I don't know. I felt something when I saw that show back in the day.
Yeah, me too.
Xena, for sure.
Myself.
These guys, especially these guys who love Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, and again,
who doesn't love Samuel L. Jackson?
Like, well,
he was awesome
in the comic books first, and then they made him black in the movies. Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Who cares? You know, nobody was complaining about Michael Clark Duncan playing Fisk in Daredevil.
I love this
because he was great at it
too.
Yeah, and he's right. I don't think anyone really was complaining about that. Like, it didn't seem like it was. Yeah, it didn't seem like he was shoehorned in there. It seemed like he was a really good actor in a part. And it's like, yeah, he is really physically intimidating. He is huge. Okay. I like Vincent D'Onofrio's version of it too. Both versions of Fisk are pretty cool.
Okay, it was almost like they picked the best person for the job in both circumstances.
It feels like it. They were both well cast. Yeah.
So the idea of Duncan being Kingpin is supposed to be like, we all know of him as like this big, like fat white guy who's like muscular who fights Spider-Man.
Not necessarily fat, but huge. Like
he has to be imposing.
Yeah.
But in a realistic take, Duncan pulled it off.
For sure. I always thought that he would have been a good like Jack Reacher type. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of, you know, their whatever action movies. Tom Cruise, for some reason, bought the IP and then was cast himself as that. And it's like, wow, it is the exact opposite. It's supposed to be a physically intimidating character. Like, I wouldn't really care if they swapped the race. It's just supposed to be somebody that, like, you know, the second they enter, you're like, okay, there's a huge dude in that room. Like, just their physical presence.
Also, those two characters that we're talking about in particular, Nick Fury and Fisk,
Kingpin,
when they were portrayed by black actors, I don't recall anywhere being like seeing huge articles and stories.
No,
and
I think a lot more people were upset about Affleck being Daredevil than you know, anyone mentioned anything about Fisk. I don't know. I think it just worked.
I mean, it wasn't even. I mean, it wasn't even promoted in like a positive light. Like,
yeah,
you know, like
it just
like a virtual signaling type. You know,
they want. You have to have
that. You have to hold on, Tiamat. God damn it.
Well, hey, guys, both of you.
My point.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry. My point being is that, you know, like if you're going to virtue signal, and if you're going to make this the big deal, and this the hill to die on with a character, and you're going to change them, race swap them, whatever these studios like to do, as what I see is sometimes virtual signaling, is you better make sure these fucking actors are good. Like, yeah,
for sure.
Like,
you just put a spotlight on them.
Yeah, and then you can't help but people say, okay, if you just are saying, like, if you're putting it out there, like, oh, this character is this, and this is what, you know, a first black this, or we changed it, and then they fucking suck, everybody's going to think, hey, they fucking suck because you picked this person because they're or a particular race, whether it's white or black or anything in between. And that's why people are pissed off. That's why these guys just don't get. It's not that we don't want to see black people on screen. It's that we don't want to see our favorite characters fucking suck because they put diversity or something else ahead of creativity or talent. And I'm not saying just white people are talented, or just black people are talented. Just fucking certain people are talented, and they should be showcased, not based on any sort of, you know, immutable characteristic. So fuck you.
The movie's flawed, but he's a great fucking villain. You know, it's fucking sus.
Stop that.
With just the fact that you.
By the way, I say this because that's why Michael C. Duncan was cast as Kingpin. Kingpin needs to be imposing. He needs to be physical, and it was done in a live action, and he fit the role.
For sure.
Now, by the way, what these people don't, like Ed and others don't get, like Dane neither, and them, they don't get what happened actually, right, is you cast people based on merit, right? Or you cast them if they fit the role.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with the whole Lilo and Stitch remake. That's actually woken up people to diverse casting.
Yeah, I did hear a lot of their diversity choices weren't diverse enough, so there has been...
Or they don't fit the role. Now they care that they're like saying, oh, the sister doesn't fit the role.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It would probably be worth doing kind of a whole... Yeah, perhaps a whole exploration into it, because there are definitely arguments to be had on both sides for representation. But I don't know, just to look at it as such a limited way that, if you're not on board and in favor of every single bit of representation, that means you're racist. I don't know. That just seems way too simplistic and black and white. Like, I don't know. It leaves room for no nuance to actually look into perhaps a reason or a performance, anything. Like, I don't know. That just sucks.
See a black person there necessitates a fucking 13-minute and 35-second video to relate with. But the fact that you're constantly doing this, not just Clownfish, but all of them, what else are we supposed to think? What else is anybody supposed to think when they see these guys week after week, video after video, focusing specifically on the race of these actors? What happened to judging people on their talents? What happened to judging people on their ability?
I think that's what we're trying to do.
Bring these characters
exactly.
They think only white people can do it. That's
no,
what I want to know.
Nobody has said that.
Look, I see a black person. I see like homeboy here playing an elf, and you know what I think? I wonder if he's good.
He wasn't.
What else would anybody else think? Unless they're fucking racist. And, I only watched the first 2 episodes. I have no qualms with how this guy played the role.
Oh, God.
But listen, anybody,
he's got very little screen time in the
any honest
first 2.
person, if any fucking fan base or whatever, would acknowledge that racist people are in the fan base. Because you know what? Racist people like Star
in like
Wars.
every fan base. It sucks.
I'm talking like Star Wars from the 70s and shit. Racist
But
people like McDonald's.
Because he
Racist
did have
people
a
like
valid
Breaking
point back
Bad.
there.
It's not like
Judge people
the shit
by their
that
merit.
racist people like is completely devoid from the pop culture. I can't really even
He threw himself
like
in
the
there.
pop culture of everyone else. They're watching the same shit we are.
2 episodes.
So yes, of course there are racist fucking Star Wars fans. Doesn't mean all Star Wars fans are racist, but if you fucking take it that way, if you read this fucking headline and get offended by it,
I could say
it's just
something.
somebody saying racist people.
I actually did watch it.
You're talking about the Flash movie?
Yes.
Yes, I watched that too.
I
Unfortunately,
suffered
Patrick, you still got to suffer through that. Okay, we'll wait until Patrick's seen it, but there's definitely a lot to be said on there.
I just saw a report. It got pulled from the theaters yesterday.
Yes, I saw that too. So it should be on streaming soon. So you should be able to see it.
Well, I mean, when a film, by the way, has a 72% drop in the second week.
Yeah, but it's got Michael Keaton as Batman. Like that part is always awesome.
We'll have to do it. We'll have to do a separate video on this.
Deal. I'm down to talk about it. But I don't think that's spoilers because I think that was all over the selling point.
Yeah,
like, Michael Keaton's back, so hopefully that's not a spoiler for you. But yeah, back to this.
And they fucking suck, and you go, like the shoe fit fucking wears it, dude. Just fucking wear it. Honestly,
The shoe fit wears
you already
it.
fucking let the mask slide off long enough for regular people to fucking see it. You guys are just fucking racist.
But did you know?
Trying to excuse it by saying, "Oh, it's about canon. It's about this shit." When canon is broken so many times in so many adaptations over and over, just by sheer necessity of the nature of adaptation, that you motherfuckers say nothing about. But when it comes to race, that is the one thing that like dictates the fucking entire universe of the fucking fictional world or whatever. It's so fucking stupid. Well, the thing is that like Nerdrotic Gary, out of all these guys, is the smartest one, and for one very simple reason. He is smart enough to know that if you don't talk about other shit, you're gonna sound like a racist, right? Like, so if you watch his videos compared to like anybody else,
conversely,
all
he's just not
talk
racist.
about is the race. That's all. That's all.
No, that's not an option.
Know.
You don't understand. It's all a ploy to not come off like
knows
it.
his Lord of the Rings. Like, there's no doubt about that. And he is smart enough to know that if I don't also talk about all the other shit, then it's gonna be super obvious that I'm being racist. So he does that. If you watch the way he talks about Lord of the Rings, he talks about the Lord.
How is it racist to mention
all this background
different
shit,
adaptation?
Well, he mentioned that if you're not on board with the elf being black, that means you're racist. So
yeah, because that means
I guess
you don't want to see
since
black
he
people.
actually brought up some other things, that means that he's not. He's not coming off as racist, but he's obviously still a secret racist.
Anyway, let's just
back to the very, very pertinent and very informative criticism.
Actually knows about it. These guys don't know anything about that. All they have to do is complain about black people. That's all they got. Nothing else. So yeah,
they have a lot of videos apparently that just do that.
This is your main point of your main point of contention here is just the race of an actor. What else are we supposed to think? I'm very curious here. You know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they do just cover subjects, right? And the subject of this is that article. So where he's criticizing is that they're not talking about something other than. But this article is specifically about that, so it feels like he's criticizing them for covering this article, which it's like, I don't know. It would be nice if he brought up other examples of like, hey, they've covered this subject like 62 times. That would then, sound like, hey, they are obsessed with this one type of thing. I don't know. It just seems like they're covering this article, so I'm not sure. It would be nice if he had something to back up his implications.
Right, and that's who we're listening to.
Yes. Who's got the bluest hair? That's who we're going to listen to.
This is coming
notice
from
how
much the chat starts ratioing out here.
These guys
don't
want to admit it. The blue hairs.
The Lion Mom has been in his comment section.
I mean,
I've been in Bob's comment section.
She doesn't
interesting.
She doesn't like me.
Conservatism is dying. It is objectively
She got back to you.
Not a fan of mine.
I cannot wait for like another two election cycles.
At one point, but I think generally speaking.
Yeah, you'll win her over. I think by the end of this, you'll have her on your side.
For the
She'll be sweet on me.
Conservatives to fucking eat crow so that I can fucking dance and piss on the graves, all drunk and high.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know. I guess I have political opponents. I guess I don't want their ideology to just die so that I can piss and dance on their graves. I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. Do you wish to dance on the graves of your, well, apparently drunk and high or something like that, of your political opponents? Or do you just kind of hope that your side wins? I don't know.
I just hope my side wins, and basically we need
honest position. It just seems weird that that's where he's going.
I don't, and the one thing you'll find with types like Bob and Dane and Ed, like I've gotten Ed to admit this. That's why I said when he went from independent to far left, probably back to moderate left with progressive positions, he is basically you can't wish opposition like that because they'll say they want to destroy it. But as I've argued with him, we need a representative government of the area. You're not going to have
the other side doesn't count. They've got the wrong opinion, so why represent it? They should die.
Yeah, that's not the case though.
As a viable political ideology, that's going to be a great day. But until then, let's watch these assholes fucking whine.
Screw consensus.
Rings of Power stars slam racist trolls who oppose diverse casting. Again, CBR, which just fired all its editorial.
Why else would somebody be upset about that? That's my question. If the acting is good, right? Why is there a problem? And why would you assume bad acting or
perhaps
a problem
the acting isn't good, and that's why people are saying, "Hey, this doesn't seem like an authentic choice. Why did we get stuck with this?"
What if the agenda is to just tell a good story? Like, what if that
is it me that he missed the whole context of your question?
Yeah, no, he misses every fucking thing I say to him.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's because of his brain state. Yeah. Yes, it seems like he wants to just scoff at it and again not actually engage. It's one of his tactics. He just doesn't want to engage with a lot of ideas. He might actually have to reassess his position.
Yeah, it's really like just blatant coming up.
Yes, yes, it just kind of gets worse.
All right, roll.
Example, because this is nothing new. This is absolutely nothing new. Night of the Living Dead. Best example that I could bring of, right? George Romero casted a black guy, even though the script said he was white. Like the character in the script was white.
Many people
forget this. Stupid graphics card.
He was the best actor for the fucking world.
Yeah, I think it's only for a minute.
It is nothing fucking new.
By the way, it's happened in other videos with you too.
Yeah, I apologize about that, everybody. My graphics card is apparently going. My computer's a piece. So he was just mentioning the casting, and he was calling it, race swapping in Night of the Living Dead. I feel like that's extremely unfair. Like they wrote a script and they just had a man, but I wouldn't call like just casting a certain way to be race swapping. Like the character would have to be pre-existing. You'd have to know him in some sort of form, and then the change was made for it to be
so
swap,
character
supposedly.
casting, right, would be done really different around the time the original Night of the Living Dead, because that is the odd part about that film.
But I mean, would you call that a swap though? Because it's like
that's not a swap.
It's casting.
It's the total opposite. It's actually what we're saying that is the appropriate method would be okay. We have a part open.
It seemed very authentic.
I would have to do
some people audition, and then they would audition, and oh my god,
I would have to go
is the best one, and he happens to be black. And you know what? That guy was fucking awesome in that movie.
Yeah,
I would have to go back and
it
look
didn't
at the
matter for a
original
fucking
casting.
second that he was black. It didn't matter.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know it was a weird thing back when that film was done. I never thought it was weird that the main lead was a black man and a white woman hiding in like a farmhouse from zombies.
Yeah,
for sure. It didn't beat you over the head with it. It just seemed like it was an authentic story. Yeah, and I think that's what everyone is arguing for, and they're kind of pointing out, hey, this doesn't seem authentic. It seems like we could have had a much better version had you, given a crap about who's actually doing this as opposed to what color the person is who's actually playing this role. But then again, I guess I could be wrong. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but that doesn't seem to see that nuance.
Actor.
Yeah.
Remember, it was probably done around the same time of like Star Trek, even though it only ran like 4 to 5 years, right? The original series pushed a lot of boundaries, and that was done in the 60s.
And in a really cool way. And it seemed authentic then, too. It didn't seem like it was ham-fisted.
Nope. Because Gene Roddenberry, common to belief of the time, is a borderline he was not progressive, or he was a liberal guy. Like Rod Sterling was about hypotheticals of human mind. Gene Roddenberry was against the norms of the time. That's why he had it in the original Star Trek series. Kirk kissing Uhura.
it pushed some boundaries, and it was awesome. Like, it didn't seem authentic, but it definitely caused a little bit of controversy.
That's
and
why
that
in
would
our
not cause controversy today. We've definitely progressed from there, which is awesome.
And
that's a good
and
thing.
the thing about it is, what besides prior to the modern Patrick Stewart, who we suffer with,
it's Sir Patrick Stewart to you. Okay.
Well, you know what? The reason he, even despite his acting credits, he has gone off the deep end. Like in The Next Generation, what was the first Star Trek series in the modern era after the films, that became iconic because it was about discussing moral issues.
Yeah. And I like the way that it did it. It didn't feel like it was beating you over the head, where I've tried to watch some of the newer Trek, and it doesn't feel like it's authentically making you answer questions or ask them of yourself. Instead, it's just kind of shoving it in your face. But sorry, getting back to Ed. We'll make it through this.
Question here is, right? First of all, prove to me. None of these channels ever prove that like the agenda is to like put wokeness and all that shit above good storytelling. That's the thing. Prove to me just looking at this, you hate yourself and think about ending it all constantly. Oh my god.
That is a horrible thing to say.
That's a horrible thing to say.
It is a clever name, though.
Jeez, I feel bad for you, man. I feel bad for you, dude. Because like I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's happening to you, dude. That like,
and that is really horrible. That sucks. This guy's obviously trolling. We've been accused of trolling him. I don't think we've ever gone on there doing shit like this. Like, this is pretty bad. We just want to know why he thinks the way that he does and try to correct him. Like, hey, this is really a messed up position. You shouldn't be using Uncle Tom. But this seems very over the line, even if he does have a clever name. For sure. That's awesome of him to bring it up, and he does bring up some good points when he's talking to him. So this definitely sucks. Sorry that you got bullied.
I don't condone
nobody
this
wants you
with
to do
content
this.
Creators.
Nobody.
It's garbage.
Nobody thinks of you this way, Ed.
Ed earned a little bit of respect. Him addressing him and him laughing at him.
For sure. I agree. The way that he handled this was really good. Yeah.
Your misery on other people. But I have a wonderful life, man. I have a great life. I can't complain. You know what I mean?
It's got that wife with that mom ass pussy
coming up Millhouse for me. I have nothing in my life to be upset about. But I feel bad that you're such a miserable prick, bro. That you have to come out here and tell someone to kill themselves. Like the amount of fucking just sheer, you know, the depravity is one thing. Like, I could tell you probably don't have much of a life outside, but the fact that you're so like immature, that you're so childish, that you're so unaware of the implications of what you're saying, is that you're encouraging someone to commit suicide, buddy. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I really hope that, you know, you take a look at yourself and you ask yourself, why am I like this? Why am I encouraging a complete stranger to commit suicide? And I hope you work on that, dude, because like that's a pretty pathetic thing.
To be fair, he could have trolled this guy harder.
Yeah, and he's not necessarily saying that you should do this too. He's saying that he can see that he is the type who. I mean, it's a small distinction to make, but I don't know that he's necessarily encouraging him to it.
No, I think
Ed is reading.
No, he does. He does. He does encourage him. Look at the fucking
sentence. Can't imagine
just by looking at you. I can see. Hold on. Just by looking at you, I can see you hate yourself and think about ending it all constantly. And I'm here to tell you, do it.
Fair enough.
So
I did not read the do it part at the end. I read the first part of that sentence. Right where the progress bar is on my screen, it tucks up that second sentence.
Yeah, do it.
You're totally right. When I saw that do it on the end. No, you're right. That is 100% telling him to do that. Sorry, I just read who thinks about ending, and I was like, that's just a shitty comment. Like, why would you?
No,
but you're right. That do it is way over the line. So I totally justify Ed banning this dude. But this isn't the only guy who gets banned this night. Yes, he was, and I think he has another comment before he gets banned. But this one justified. I will totally give Ed that. He should not have said that to you. You should definitely ban this fucker.
You should have been nice.
It's not here. I'll show you,
Patrick.
Yeah, and Ed's entire channel is not about drama. He does have that over the rest of the initiative. I think it's all.
I watch some of his videos. I watch his videos on different movies and stuff. And occasionally he'll put something out, and I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about that movie, and then I'll go watch it.
Yeah. But he does have a lot of content that's not just this stuff. Yeah. So I do want to give him a props to that. He seems to have more so than anyone else who's associated with the initiative or whatever.
I agree with this.
Agreed.
I will show you. My entire channel is not about that whatsoever. Because if you actually were to go to my channel,
I actually agree with this approach.
You would see that I only do these kinds of streams.
Kill him with kindness.
I like to do a lot of movie reviews, and a lot of them are positive because I like to talk about stuff that I actually
not be the best
I talk about beer every now and then. I talk about my 10 favorite movies. I do occasionally make a couple of like really dope, weird little edits, but for the most part, I'm very
bad tier lists.
Like, occasionally I will do what I have to do. But you can go ahead and fucking look at my content all you fucking want, you know. But let's go. Oh, there you go. Let's see. I don't
Hey,
get
that's a
that
base
from
comment.
Ed at all. He seems happy as shit to me.
He does.
No,
He's
dude,
a
I
happy
don't even
guy.
feel bad. Like I feel bad for this guy. He had a great life. Like honestly, man. Like how the hell do you just like go onto someone's channel and tell them to kill themselves, bro? Like that's just so much about you. That's just so much about you, dude. That you got nothing else to do. That's really fucked up, man. Honestly, like I really hope you figure your shit out. I really hope you like understand what you're doing is really kind of fucking reflective of you. And I hope you fucking move on, because that's what we're gonna do.
Native versus negative Karen troll.
Don't like virtue signaling instead of just they are racist. I don't see they might be, but I mean general. Well, the thing is, like, why does it have to be virtue signaling? I've never seen these guys see like a white person march in support of Black Lives Matter and not automatically call it virtue signaling. You know, the thing is that anything that is,
what does that have to do with like race swapping in popular media? I don't know. Like, it seems tenuous to me at best to then bring up like white people marching with BLM and not hearing that
it's very confusing.
It's hard to follow his logic. I think it's from the drinking, but I don't know.
I didn't want to get pedantic.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. He keeps going off to like these weird tangents off of.
He's mixing his political views with his views on other people.
I think so.
He's also mixing his booze and his weed. So it's probably
fair enough. I think he points that out right here.
Empathetic to people who are not like them, they automatically call it virtue signaling. Is virtue signaling annoying? Yes. I mean, there's an entire movie about virtue signaling. It's called Get Out. You know.
So, are either of you familiar with Get Out?
Very familiar with Get Out.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. I'm not sure how he gets some of it as virtue signaling. Like, am I
nothing in that movie
this?
that
Like,
is virtue signaling.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to hear like his opinion on that. I would like to find that out one day. I don't get it, but
I mean, maybe like identity, maybe appropriation.
Yeah, but even then, like the actual twist in it, like kind of changes.
Isn't that the movie where, if I sorry if it's just blanket, isn't that the one where they were living forever by just replacing brains?
Yes, kind of like the skeleton key type story. Yeah, but it was, I believe, like entire brain swapping, and then you could live in a new body, but yes, essentially what you're saying. But I'm not sure how that is virtue signaling.
That's not virtue signaling.
Wouldn't it have to be like there was a white hero in it saving the black people? And
I think so, or
that would be virtue signaling.
I mean, there's a couple ways that you could make it that, but I don't see anything that's actually there. So I would love for him to kind of explain that at some point in the future. Yeah. But I don't know how that movie was all virtue signaling. But I don't know. Good flick. Definitely.
We need his opinion on Django Unchained.
Oh yeah, I wonder what he thinks the underlying theme of that one is.
Or make him sit through Blazing Saddles.
But I think it's really fucked up that these guys see like James Gunn making a video in support of like one of his black actors, and they automatically assume that's virtue signaling. Like, it says a lot about them that they're so lacking in empathy. They're so lacking.
I guess I don't understand the reference there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That they automatically assume that any person who would ever share any bit of empathy for someone of a different race is virtue signaling. I think that says a lot more.
I don't think anyone's saying that.
Them.
I think the whole virtue signaling thing is saying it doesn't seem authentic. It doesn't seem like you actually give a shit. It seems like you're trying to shoehorn this end product. Like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that would be empathy for the person. It feels like it's kind of his position, which is saying you're not good enough for this, so you need to have this handed to you, which I don't know. That doesn't feel empathetic. That feels like it's very belittling. But
see, and
just
sorry, one second. Go ahead. He could be saying, I think I was thinking this when I previewed this. I think he is of the opinion of certain people have that James Gunn says, like in his current run of like DC and his works, he hates when people say certain things, but he goes on Twitter and makes these weird rants. Like, sometimes he would be against race swapping a character if the actor fit. Like, or he's defended people who have race swapped characters.
I mean, I could definitely see defending it in certain cases. Like, in certain cases, I don't think it really matters, and especially if it makes the end product better. Like, hell yeah, I don't think people are. Again, that whole Nick Fury thing, I don't think anyone's upset about that. No, I don't know. I never heard a controversy about it, but
like James Gunn,
ones that don't seem that authentic, that seem.
But James Gunn has also done some stupid stuff and put his own
really good stuff
in his mouth. He goes on social media and has said dumb things.
Well, the start of his career, I don't know if you're familiar with like Romeo and Juliet. Like, I don't know, he was very controversy filled in the beginning, but I don't know. He's made some good flicks. He's definitely improved a lot as a director over his career.
Yes.
Back to Ed.
than anybody who's being accused of that shit. And again, virtue signaling exists, and I'm more than happy to call that shit out. But what the problem
So he
is,
seems to know that it doesn't
what
seem
these guys
authentic.
consider virtue signaling is just basic empathy.
Disagree.
Empathy
If
and
it's
race
virtue
swapping?
signaling by nature, would it put diversity ahead? Well, like, what's virtue by signaling by nature, though?
He
Like,
completely misses what I'm
to
saying.
me,
That seems so
that is a
pedantic, Ed. Come on.
contradictory statement, because the whole point of virtue signaling.
But he just said, yeah, virtue signaling isn't good. And then he said, okay, if it's virtue signaling, come on, keep following it. He doesn't seem to want to actually follow down that road. Perhaps, he can't physically or mentally do that at this moment. But yeah, it's weird that he'll only read like part of the sentence and then just go off.
He ignores. He does what like DJ does. DJ, if you ever hear this, like Eric, I've caught Eric doing this when I type something to him. He only reads half of what he wants to read and throws the other half out the window.
Yeah,
for sure. It's a tactic.
Signaling is that it's not sincere. It's not natural, right? If virtue signaling is by somebody's innate nature, then that's just empathy. Then it's not virtue signaling.
No,
the
nature some weird
definitions.
But how did empathy
what is the
get
problem
worked
with
into
diversity?
this?
That's my question.
Yeah.
What is the problem with
that is.
diversity? What is the problem with everybody having the same opportunity to succeed?
That's what we're saying. Like, nothing is wrong with the opportunity. It's the fact that you're removing the opportunity from a large swath of people and limiting it to one, like, I don't know what you'd call it, pre-designated category for perceived fairness. I don't know. It is weird. I guess it's the difference between equity and equality.
And at the same time saying like, oh, look at me, look how great we are that we're fucking doing this, that we're helping these.
Yeah.
Like
that seems to be the
bullshit.
virtue signal part.
So I would love to see his opinion on, I think I brought this up in DMs with you guys. What is, like, we all know our takes, right? Like, if someone's casting in Hollywood, right? Because, like, BBC has broadcasting standards. Like, why is Doctor Who so diverse now? Because that's a directive pretty much from the BBC. Like, BBC has recommendations. You have to have, like, X amount of POC characters in it. What about the Academy Awards? Academy Awards have that same recommendation.
Yeah, there seem to be quotas now.
Quotas is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not on board with it. It seems like
and
there
then
are
you
other
also
issues
have
to get brought up.
You also have the situation too, and this is where I guess I agree with other people who work in the industry, and I've heard this. They did it. Let's say I'm a director doing a casting for a movie. I want an actor or actress, a person who fits the role, right? Like, oh, but on this, I want, if you know, when they go to audition, I want these characteristics right off the bat. If you fit this, I'm looking for a brown-headed white male, right?
Yeah.
And that's who you are going to cast or who goes to the auditions. Even on the own audition stuff for the roles, they say this is who we're looking for potentially, and they have their own characteristics.
Yeah. Sometimes you cast against type, though. I don't know. Some of those have worked in the past. But yeah, today casting is definitely going to be different. If it's like a major studio, there might be directives on what the outcome of the movie must be.
Or directors looking for an exact type.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely it changes the way that everything is kind of handled these days. But I agree with what I think Patrick was trying to get to with this. If it's not based off of like the best performance or the best person, and instead it's based off of, this, look at me, I am doing the correct thing here, it doesn't seem like it's actually authentic. And then I think that's where that virtue signaling would come in. I don't know. It's a little strange to me that he could say virtue signaling is bad, but not kind of put two and two together with this kind of line of thought.
It's strange to me that he can't fucking understand the concept of the sentences.
For sure.
That's what fucking strange to me.
I don't know if this was when I said at the start of this, he was either drunk or doesn't. You want to read it?
No, the fucking secret's out. He was tanked. He admits to it. It's fine. I mean, I used to drink heavily. I smoke weed. Like, whatever. Like, fucking, who cares? I'm not judging him, but I'm not going to be wasted fighting with people about things like this online. Certainly if I can't read a fucking sentence, like he's like, right, but the virtue signaling by nature. So what is naturally virtue signaling?
At this point, his brain works. See, one thing I learned about watching him is he half reads stuff, because like him and Bob both have this like feature. They go, this is the logic I always see. They go, oh, get to the point, dude. Tell me so I don't have to look the information up.
Yeah.
If you watch their content, They have the article in front of you.
Yeah, but it seems like a bridge too far to actually like read it or dig into what they're saying.
Too wordy.
Yeah, instead you could just watch a clip and make your whole decision up. You don't need to ever second guess it either. Back to Ed.
Yeah, that's the real issue here. If I mean, yeah, that's my ultimate point to that. Didn't they all lose their minds? And Zack Snyder basically said he wasn't cool with their races. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's obvious, you know, the nature of virtue. What is the nature of virtue signaling, though, bro? Like, that's the thing. Like, how do you define that? How do you identify that?
That it's inauthentic.
You know? There, it exists.
He said that
100%.
before too.
But
He's
again,
like, yeah, virtue
what
signaling
these
is wrong.
people call virtue
So he knows that it's not good by his
white
nature.
person specifically showing or straight cis person showing empathy for people of other races or of other gender and sexual identities. It's like having Liz Taylor playing Cleopatra and Scarlett Johansson being the ghost in the show. Those are two roles. Those two are non-white roles. Exactly. And the thing is that it wasn't just so much that there were non-white roles.
My head right here was like,
yeah, he understands the concept, and I could be wrong. I wasn't around when Elizabeth Taylor played Cleopatra. I don't know if it was a controversy at the time. I mean, like there was, you know, like John Wayne playing Genghis Khan. So I mean, like, I don't know. That one I'm not as sure of. But there was a controversy when Scarlett Johansson was cast as Ghost in the Shell. I remember it being, hey, why are we whitewashing all of this? And it's like, yeah, that's a good point. Why are we? Like, if this is more authentic, let's go with it. Like, but I don't know. But you do remember that there was like a controversy that Scarlett Johansson was the one cast. I think that's the thing that he's somehow not acknowledging. It's not like everyone just like cheered.
People weren't weird about it, then they saw the film.
Well, keep going. Let's keep going because he actually like kind of touches on some of the shit we're saying because but he goes the opposite direction. I think here and is like, no, everybody it was fine. It was fine because she was white. And he's full of shit.
Playing Cleopatra specifically, but it wasn't anything that, you know, Scarlett Johansson did in Ghost in the Shell that any decent Asian actor couldn't do. You know, her performance was strong enough to justify that choice in a way that it was like unimaginable to.
I guess to be the fairest, I guess one argument would be that the you know, whatever Asian actress wouldn't draw as many people as Scarlett Johansson would, which I think is kind of the reason why they whitewashed it, at least the excuse that I heard. But yeah, I think that would be the one thing that they couldn't do, but nobody's saying, you know, the performance of an Asian would never be as good as Scarlett Johansson.
It's
like, that's ridiculous.
It tried to be, it was actually for a live adaptation of an anime. It actually was not that bad.
That's good to hear, because most of them aren't that great. I'll have to check them out.
Because if you look into the making of the film, the
creator
of Ghost in the Shell, the person who originally did it, actually signed off on her. As well as, but he had one thing on the film. He said, "With it, you need to respect at least the costume and the settings." And that's why,
awesome.
Like, that's what they did with it. Because
sorry.
I'll say this because that's a film. Surprisingly, that's niche was before everything. They stuck to the setting, and it looks grimy by like a cyberpunky standard, but it didn't get condemned in Japan. Even Japan, they loved it as well.
I remember the aesthetic of the movie looking pretty cool, but I never actually saw it, and it's because I wasn't really a fan of Ghost in the Shell, the IP. But I'll check it out, especially if you're saying it's not a bad adaptation, because almost every live adaptation I've seen of anime
it's not One Piece,
not done well. Yeah. So back to Ed.
To think that someone else could have done an equally good job, you know,
on Twitter.
Yeah, and they got mad, and then I mean, I'll admit that like it got mad because I'll give you that.
You're pointing that
out. The problem is that
Great job,
whitewashing was a greater institution.
Whitewashing
that where there were simply no.
It's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. I've never heard that used correctly or in a positive manner.
To play people of their own race was minuscule because they kept favoring white actors. That's what they were mad about. It was an actual issue. The issue isn't so much.
The issue is that they were mad. He's finally getting it. The issue is that people were mad. They were putting white people in roles that were meant for black people, and they weren't even that fucking good. It's literally the issue. It's the whole fucking issue that everybody's mad about.
It seems like he possibly could zoom out and say, hey, that is like the parallel to this. Huh. Maybe I could understand where somebody's coming from and not just say, oh, the only way that they don't like this is because they're racist. Like, you would never levy that against, you know, Ed right there saying like, hey, because you don't think that character should be her, you're racist. That would be a really dumb argument. People. Yeah, it's a really dumb argument. And I
don't want to see white people on screen.
Yeah, I wish somehow he could see that. But it just kind of devolves from here.
Playing a traditionally white role is that she was one of hundreds, like thousands of roles who did that shit. You know, so like, there is an actual fucking justifiable reason behind that, and especially because, like I said, it's not like Scarlett Johansson turned in a performance of a lifetime in Ghost in the Shell. She did fine. She did decent. But the fact that it was just such a mediocre performance begs the question: if it's such a mediocre performance, why did she get the role?
That's their point with Lord of the Rings guy.
There were some people being like, yeah, let's not intermingle with other races to keep our own bloodline pure. And it's not the groups you think are saying it.
But the same people that are calling everybody else Nazis.
Yes. Yes, they're calling everybody else Nazis and fascists and then putting charts of how you shouldn't date.
Okay, there were some funny comments you had in
there.
To
keep your blood. Look, the thing is that, there are those people in other races, and those people are fucking stupid too. Anybody who complains about interracial relationships, regardless of what race they are racist. Like, I'm just gonna put that straight out there. Like, there's nothing wrong with people of different races dating each other.
I don't
I agree.
think anyone has an issue with
that. That is a bullshit fucking thing to complain about, and that is a racist thing to complain about. But again, what these people don't understand is that, like, people like me, Mexicans, Black people, Asians, we don't hear that from our fellow people of color and be like, "That's right."
Same with white people. We don't hear that and say, "That's right."
Like,
we just say,
people
"What
fucking
the fuck,
love
man?"
who they love. Just because people like that don't get fucking TikTok videos made about them, don't mean they don't exist. The thing is that nobody's gonna fucking make a video about someone like me being like, "Yeah, interracial couples are cool." That's what's up.
Why not?
100%. Before
I'm Irish and my girlfriend's Italian.
I saw that, so I wanted to keep that in there. That you're not just here for pure white blood. You're okay with race mixing, to put it one way, apparently. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't understand why he wouldn't say. I think a good portion of America is way past where possibly it was one day, and we don't currently think this. It's not in these guys. Like, I don't think it's just one race who thinks about the whole mixed race thing. Like, I don't know. It's very strange. But
Patrick, how long did he argue with you?
It went over the whole
while.
Yeah,
maybe 2 hours.
It seemed like it. It took him quite a while to get through a couple of these videos that were very short. I guess kind of like we're doing, which is taking a while. So back to the video.
Yeah.
I like to
I think it was over 2 hours.
Of new alcoholic beverages here.
So this could be the reason for the incoherence.
Tiamat Dlord new mix. It's a tequila with grapefruit juice or grapefruit soda. Let's try it out.
Someone needs to get this man some Four Locos.
It's kind of like what he's got.
This is when he cracks me up, though. Like when he does shit like
this was really honestly the most entertaining part of the stream. But I don't know that you should enjoy the taste of tequila and grapefruit juice that much.
It's tequila. What's the ABV? 5%. Okay, so it's like a beer. So I don't got much to worry about. I really dislike how much we all dislike each other in these groups. It's not healthy.
It's a really good message, and it's true.
No booze.
It's my whole message.
All he's doing is disliking a whole bunch of other guys and saying, "Hey, if you don't agree with me, you're racist." I don't know. What is he talking about disliking? But yeah, it's a great message. I wish he kind of understood that. He didn't seem to read the other part of it, that it's not healthy and there has to be a better way. You're right. Conversation, I think, would be a better way. Understanding would be a better way. And that's what we've tried to do. Tiamat, you tried to talk to him. You tried to understand where they're coming from. You asked him questions. That was what my purpose of talking to Bob and Ed were. I think that would be a better way. I think it'd be more healthy than just saying these people are racist and vile. Write them off.
I would prefer to understand the enemy. I don't like condemning them because, as I tried to say earlier, politically we need consensus in this country because you can't have one party rule.
Yeah, that would be very, very. The checks and balances are there for a reason. It's nice to have, one.
Same thing goes in an ideological group, right?
Yeah.
I kept having typos at this point in the chat. It was supposed to say, but I'll like this joint.
Yeah, well, I mean, you like the joint, man. Like it.
I like it.
Why not? Hey, while you're there, like this joint. Subscribe. Yeah.
Hey, but I'll like. You know what? Cheers to you, buddy. I got my fucking weed right here.
Oh,
BasedLife
so he's
for you, man.
Yeah,
he's mixing his substances.
He didn't realize this was this part of the video, but he shouldn't do this on YouTube.
Okay,
because that could be bad.
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure that was just nicotine.
Here's the thing,
I don't know.
Here's what I always like to get at, right? Is that like people like we don't all like just because let's put it this way.
Terms of service.
Just because there's an us,
I'm pretty sure
doesn't mean there has to be a them. Right, like that's the way. That's the way I explain it, man. Like I too would love for there to be more unity. Because you know what? The reason why I do this, man, is because I'm old school. Like I remember 10 years ago when people could just talk about anything, about anything like Star Wars or anything like that, and it would just be like geeks talking.
Yeah,
but now there's
I agree with
so
this
much
part.
Baggage
Geeks bashing each other or discussing and
the question
fandoms.
is right. Is like
sure.
Okay,
things have
so
gotten a little bit more polarized.
X property is going for whatever reason. You know what? That's nothing new. That's nothing new, man. Like people used to believe that like comic book movies sucked in general. You know, that it was
Nerds
very
would
rare we had a
argue
good
over
one.
the adaptation
We are all
by an artist
able
of a
to
comic
have like
series.
They aren't what you think the fans of no. Well, the thing is that like
you got that one off the
they
screen real
choose.
fast.
Yeah,
That's the thing, right?
I contemplated
people,
pausing it so that we could hear it, but
people like
I basically said I know these people. I know them.
Opportunities
This isn't
available.
how they think. They're not racist.
To get by.
And he just didn't want to hear it.
I don't think he wants to hear it. But yeah, I was going to pause it so that we could understand it a little bit more. But I think it helped to kind of see it in context that he's not really looking at it. He wasn't willing to really give it the time.
See, Gray in the other stream the other day he did, like where he did admit that he is basically a far leftist or whatever. Sometimes he doesn't see people's opinions, but he will agree with the other side. But he also admits he can be very he slipped and said he could be very judgmental of them unless they prove themselves otherwise.
Yeah, and I can't think that that's the standard to go with. It just seems
that's not a good standard.
No,
guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, that's not just.
Same thing when it comes to like gay people, like the LGBT community. They're just trying to exist. They're just trying to live their life and shit. You know, it's nobody. Nobody exists to spite anybody. Right? Like no whole race, no whole.
Have you met Dane?
Exists to piss another group of people off. We all just exist, right? Okay, so Nerdrotic, Doomcock, these guys they hate race swap.
Who's Doomcock again?
Great, fine, cool.
No,
all right, man.
I don't even know if he still exists.
Like,
I don't know if he still exists as a channel.
Stuff you like
fair enough. I don't either.
But instead, what they did was that they built an entire community that is built entirely on hating, for example, black actors or hating the fact that black actors are getting traditional white roles. When if you actually take a look at the trends, at the market trends when it comes to cinema,
you ever notice how he self-reports?
Ever since 1996,
yes,
original movies have had a smaller and smaller presence in the international top 10 box office. Right in 2009, that was the first year that only one original movie was in the top 10 film highest grossing movies of that year, and ever since then, it has only been movies that are based on IPs that ever make it to the top 10. That's it. Nothing else. That is the reality. That is the reality of the current film market here. Of the current film market.
What if, by the way, the reason, and this is a grand theory in filmmaking, if they're going with safe IPs, they can remake to make money versus make original IPs. Because let's say like a lot of these companies that have been sitting on dead IPs, you see this in the video game market. Why do they do remakes? Because they're sitting on dead IPs that are easy to fill out.
Yeah. There is something to be said for like right now. It does seem like there are infinite remakes or reboots or whatever you want to call that, where they're just kind of bringing back existing things. I don't know. That does suck, but I don't.
It does suck, but it does happen in Hollywood,
for sure.
Especially.
And it seems like now that's definitely a method that they're using to recoup the investment, because we're in a weird place with like streaming. How marketable is any product now that they're making? It's very strange, but I don't know.
He's a movie guy. I'm saying he's a movie guy, so he would know more about this than we do. But when I look at a lot of stuff in the last 10 years or so, when he brings up after a period, they started, even I said this, why are they recycling IPs you already own?
Yeah.
Like that have been done to death. Like it's not like a Batman, Lil, if you know. Batman has to be redone like every 7 years, or Warner Brothers
the rights or whatever. Yeah. I know that's kind of the Spider-Man thing as well, from what I hear. Yeah, and I don't know. It just seems weird and very pessimistic to say that like there's no way that a authentic film could be made. So the only way that we could ever see any sort of diversity is by just shoehorning it in there. I don't know. That just seems very bigoted to say this entire race isn't worthy of it. They can't do it on their own. They can't do it on their own merit. When I don't know. At one point he does mention films like Get Out, and it's like they're really awesome films. I don't know why that couldn't just be made. Like I don't feel like anyone's attacked that for its diversity or anything like that.
I've never heard that as a diversity argument or a virtue signal argument.
Yeah, which seems to be all he's saying.
And it was made on its own merit.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know. He's going to get into it here in a second. But yeah, it's kind of hard to follow his logic.
Media market objectively, right? People do not want to risk watching something original. They would prefer to watch familiar IP, right? So
yeah, I hate that. Yeah, somebody doesn't want to risk watching something they've never seen before. Instead, they only want to watch familiar stuff. That's really shitty for him to put that on the viewer. I think it's more the studio doesn't want to spend the money on something they're not sure of, but this IP gives them at least a whatever % guarantee because people are familiar with it. So it's got that name recognition. From what I understand, I don't think it's the consumers requesting stuff that they know. I think it's more the studios thinking that that's a strategy.
The viewers will reject. The viewers will reject. Like, you remember when they redid? I don't know. Like, I haven't watched it. Willow, right? Willow. What was that? Willow. Even as a kid, right? I'm sure me and Patrick remember it probably better than you.
I loved that film as a kid.
It's a weird film. It's like I grew up on The Dark Crystal, but the only people who would know it are like the people who watched it as a kid. And don't get me wrong, the Jim Henson puppets are creepy as hell, even as children.
Yeah, and it's such a fun world.
I liked The Last Unicorn.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've always been a fantasy one, but yeah, wasn't Tom Cruise in that one, the unicorn one, or am I thinking of a different one?
No, you're thinking of Legend. The Last
Legend, you're totally right. No, I remember Last Unicorn as well. Oh my god!
Okay, the funny part about Legend is, you know why most people remember Legend? Because of the demon, the demon guy. Yes. Because they compared it to Diablo later on. He could never die.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I know it was done at different times.
I totally forgot about Unicorn, or The Last Unicorn. I got to go check that one out again. I was really a fan of the 80s fantasy stuff.
Unicorn over the last.
All right,
love
back
that.
to
The song.
If you look at what it's really right, because of the era when it was made in, it was almost entirely a predominantly white cast, because simply back in the day, people of color were just not given the same opportunities, right? So when these people complain about, let's say, Halle Bailey being Ariel in The Little Mermaid and stuff like that, okay, fine. If you don't like that, that's fine. But if we don't have a black mermaid, what else do they have? What else do black people have? And
a lot.
That seems so bigoted.
Can I say this is where?
Listen, they can't do anything on their own, so we've got to give them this one. Come on, guys. Like,
if white people, if we don't just give up the fish, if we don't give the poor black people our fucking mermaid, what do they have? They're a culturally poor people. They have no culture.
Are people not familiar with like the? I mean, I know this because like we grew up on Little Mermaid. When they expanded the universe, right?
Yeah, there were.
There was black mermaid. She had a black friend.
Yeah,
there was a black Tinkerbell as well. Like
for sure.
Like there
and
was.
not for nothing. Can we just go back to Little Mermaid for a second? Like the original movie, I get Sebastian was a fucking crab, but I'm pretty sure he was a black guy. Like, you know, he was Jamaican for Christ's sake, right? He was like he was Caribbean or Jamaican or something. Am I wrong?
I mean, there was some sort of representation in there for sure.
There was, the seagull.
Under the sea. I mean, that
now,
wasn't
the funny
like an
thing
Irish
about,
accent.
I'll say this on the new Little Mermaid. I pointed this out to the same girl that I just tried to say something earlier. I explained this. Go and I challenge this. Go look up Ariel and her sisters in the expanded universe of the old one versus the new one. Trident has apparently been with the same woman, right? Same merman person, but she has 7 different daughters of all different colors and races.
She might have adopted. You don't know.
Or cheated on him horribly. Or cheated on him and he didn't question it.
Well, he was royalty. I'm sure he was,
No one's going to get the reference
like Game of Thrones.
No one's going to get the reference unless you've seen it. Like the poster of all the sisters in the new one.
I don't think I have.
I don't.
I think I've seen what you're talking about. I saw.
They're all 7 daughters are all different. And it's like, okay.
And if you're so bothered by having a black person play Ariel just outright without taking into account her talents, her abilities, or anything like that, then what you're essentially saying is, I don't want to see black people on the screen. And it's not because of you, because of your personal beliefs. But if you take into account the harsh, objective reality of the film and the television market, that is what you're saying. And
in essence, that's what you're saying. Just, if you don't want to see them in every single role, that means you don't want to see them at all. It's just so bigoted. No. How dare you?
I don't think a single person would have shit to say if this fucking Halle, if her name fucked me up so bad because of
Halle Bailey.
Halle Bailey. I can't.
Halle Bailey.
If she had been an excellent actress and they did a great job at the movie, nobody had boo to say about it. But then everybody thinks because they made her black that they maybe didn't choose somebody else. I wouldn't give a fuck if she was Asian. Just make a good movie. Make
For sure.
a good fucking movie with a good
That's
actress.
the issue with a lot of the live action remakes. They've all been so like I asked, like what concerned me about The Little Mermaid not as much as the casting. Like if I ask you guys about Mulan. Now in Mulan, when they did the live action, we've all seen the one as a kid. You know, she basically acted like a man, so her father didn't get drafted and killed.
Right.
Now, she in the remake is able to battle everybody because she has more chi than the Emperor himself.
Midichlorians.
Basically, chi's like energy in that world.
Yeah.
So has more energy than the Emperor, so she's a divine, needs to be on the battlefield. In Aladdin, right? It wasn't as much as the other. Oh, she just had to be the girl boss, but she's going to take over the kingdom, you know.
For sure.
And then in this one, I don't know if people want spoilers on Little Mermaid. She's the one who drives the boat into Ursula as the male character is weak.
Thanks.
Now you ruined it.
Next, you're going to tell me the Titanic goes down at the end?
What? I haven't watched that one yet.
No, but seriously, they reversed what was happening in the film, and everyone said, "Oh,
well, you don't want to portray women this week, and you don't.
You're going to make it. She's going to drive instead of Eric rescuing Ariel. She's going to drive the boat into Ursula." And it's like, well, lo and behold.
And again, I haven't seen that one. I have seen the others. It doesn't seem like it's authentically done. Like if you authentically make her like a strong character or a character who has like earned, you know, their standing, like that really wouldn't be a concern. I think it's pointed out when it's like, hey, this seems so inauthentic, and it feels like you're not doing this for the sake of actually loving the character. It feels like you're doing this to, you know, tick a box or show how well you are doing with representation, which gets into that virtue signaling thing.
It gets into the virtue signaling as well as what happens in a director. If you're in a role, you cast two lead characters and they look like they're two blank boards staring at each other.
I think that's kind of the Lord of the Rings thing is what I've heard. Like it just is a very blank character. So why did we have to do this?
None of the characters.
Maybe Ed's got more insight.
None of them have.
It's not
chemistry.
your fault you're saying
that.
But
chemistry would be good
too. If you really feel that way, ask yourself, compared to what? Right? Like, okay, so a black person got casted in the Rings of Power show. All right, and then the Lord. What other kinds of TV is being made at that level? You know, but the entire.
Well, I don't know that are getting billions from Amazon. Not many, but there is like the Wheel of Time where. The diversity to me makes more sense. Not to spoil a shit ton in there, but I think it's like in the second episode they reveal it, and in the prologue to the actual book they kind of reveal the world that we're in now is actually a very, very futuristic world. Everything has got super technology and then kind of crashed again, and then they're in kind of the dark ages from there. So I don't know, diversity to there kind of makes more sense to me. You know, everyone would be kind of spread out. It would be like here, like, you know, the races aren't exactly divided or anything like that. So I'm assuming a more futuristic society that would happen. From what I understand, Lord of the Rings is not supposed to be that. So I don't know. It just seems a little weird that, I don't know, he couldn't possibly see like people wanting authentic representation, except for
most of it's about fighting evil because it's good versus evil is what Lord of the Rings is.
For sure. It's not necessarily about race. And then other people are also making like the orcs be particular races or anything, which kind of seems like
that's his
weird self-tell. Yeah. Anyway, he's not even getting into that here. But yeah, back to Ed.
The entire community isn't that way, but like the entire community is predicated on complaining about like about race swapping, though. That's the thing. That is the foundational belief here, that there is a woke agenda, and that all these things that studios do are part of the woke agenda. So if that is the root of it, then that is something that is shared universally amongst all of them. I'm not saying they're all equally shitty. I'm saying that's the unifying belief. The problem is the diversity comes from a place of inauthenticity. People think Disney really came, but they only chase profit. Okay, fine, fair enough. A lot of the times it can be inauthentic, but you know what? You don't get to Get Out. You don't Get Out without occasionally over 30 years getting some really shitty representation of black people. Because look, ultimately,
that just seems so belittling to black people and like their capabilities. You know, you're gonna get really shitty ones from them, but every once in a while you'll get a good thing. I don't know. Like to me, that just seems so.
You know what? Get Out
bigoted.
Is probably the movie Karen.
Fair enough. It could be something like that, and it's definitely not. It feels somewhat authentic, where Karen, it feels very forced and everything. I don't think anyone's putting that in the same category.
No, he just said they like 20 years go by, you get garbage from black people.
Yes.
Until one day, Jordan, what is it, Jordan Peele?
Yes.
Jordan Peele makes a movie, Get Out, and then it's like, oh, finally.
Finally. Just like ignoring everything. Yeah.
You know
like,
what?
okay. Well, at least we finally got that
must
one.
Have been, yeah.
You know, I mean, where was Ed back when the movie like Blazing Saddles? Like, if you ever looked into
that's too old for him. But
dude, if you ever look into the making
movie
of Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks was like, I wanted a particular, like, he wanted Richard Pryor as the sheriff.
Yeah.
And then he got that guy, and the guy like came in. And he's like, perfect, just literally perfect.
That movie,
absolutely perfect.
So amazing.
Let me just whip this out.
Yes,
that movie's only 10 years after Civil Rights.
Bad representation is a lesson for everyone else as to what not to do. You have to make those mistakes. Those mistakes need to be made so that people can understand what does and doesn't work about representation in general. So
you can't just learn that from white movies. You have to have a bunch of horrible black movies that are the only way. I don't know. It seems so bigoted and so close-minded. It can't just look at it as filmmaking with authentic characters. Like, I don't know.
It's also like he's saying, you know, when we have this happening and it is inauthentic, then we call it out. You have to call it out. But if people are calling out what they think is inauthentic, it's just because you don't want to see black people on screen.
Yeah, it's because you're racist.
What the fuck?
Come on.
Like, what the fuck do you want us to do?
You understand? You can't win.
No, there is no win.
And does Ed know the movie Amistad?
Ooh, I don't know if he is familiar with it. But yeah, that is a beautifully
even though movie. They kind of actually had to change it because historically he went back to selling his own people. But
did he really?
Yes.
Don't tell me that, because I love that movie when he's like,
yeah.
give us free. And
but then again, I love to ask Ed too, is the Woman King proper representation?
I didn't see it.
I guess it depends what you're trying to represent. If it's like reality, like I don't know. If you're just trying to represent like a good idea, I don't know. The Amistad changes. I don't seem to have as much of a problem with that. Like, it does suck if you're trying to say, like, you know, this is the way you should behave. Oh yeah, he also sold people. I don't know. You know, that's kind of bad. But I don't know. I guess I kind of like that, where I'm not sure exactly. So I haven't seen The Woman King. I'm not sure exactly the message it's trying to.
Well, okay, The Woman King, right? If he's arguing that you get crap over
sense.
The years, The Woman King is based on the Daphne Amazons, and when everyone said like you were going to do the Daphne, they all knew the history. Like, there was subtle history changes, which that's separate. Like, even the people, like black people on Twitter, gave them shit over it because that's not how you represent our people. Because just understand, Hollywood like had to make a film about a whole entire African nation that their entire economy, until the French and Europeans came in, to force him to stop doing the slave trade.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that, but I mean, there's been plenty of movies that are, you know, historically accurate. That, like, what was that other one? Was it Glory?
Oh yeah,
God, Glory, that's ancient, but yeah,
it is old. I'm dating myself, but I mean,
it's based on an idea, but yeah, like loosely, but
it just pisses me off. Like, I mean, and I know that he gets on, like, I don't remember if it's in this or not, but he, like, somebody says like, well, I don't, you know, movies were diverse when I was a kid, you know, back when I was growing up, and he's like,
yeah, that was the
growing up. And it's like, motherfucker, like, we're talking, you're saying there's no movies in the last 30 years or 20 years.
No.
And like,
Glory,
any representation.
There is nothing wrong with like Glory. Glory was
lean on me. Fucking come on.
Look,
yeah.
Glory may have been a weird thing.
I liked it. I think it's a good film, but yeah, I actually have to go back to that one. I haven't seen it in like a decade. I don't know. I hope it holds up. In my mind, it does.
Yeah. Shitty representation sucks, and we should call it out 100%. It has a place. It has a place.
You know, but if you do right now, they'll call you racist.
Basis, and if that is your basis for hating representation, is that not everybody gets it perfect, then what exactly are you trying to fucking vouch for? That if it's that it shouldn't fucking like just try to give a black person a chance, unless like everybody's heart is in it wholeheartedly and sincerely. Like, be realistic, man. Disney, all these studios are just companies. They're just like any other business. They're not gonna do what's right. They're gonna do the easiest thing to appeal to the most customers, dude. That's it. It's simple as that. Should movie studios and all that be making more original films for black people and black leads and all that? 100%. They should totally be doing that. I am way in support of that.
But if you say that, you're racist.
The box office doesn't want that. The buying audience, the paying audience doesn't support it. So if a studio were to do that, they are taking on a huge fucking financial risk, especially the more money they throw at that project. So even if you're not even if you're not personally, right? Even if you're not personally racist and all that shit, but if you buy into this whole thing, like, you're still buying into the fucking idea that unless certain things are perfect and in these certain conditions, that they shouldn't fucking exist. when ultimately even the worst representation can at least stand up for lesson for what not to do. And if nothing else, should we not support that? You know?
What the fuck is he talking about?
No, it's all good. There is no such thing
like,
as bad representation, okay? You are racist for not wanting bad representation out there. You can't just want good representation. Yeah. You don't understand. They are not capable of all good quality stuff, okay? Apparently, according to Ed. So I don't know. It's very strange, but it just seems to be a self-report on how bigoted he is.
It's fucking madness.
Yeah. Maybe he explains it more, but yeah, you're saying that he's simplifying a complex issue. If you don't like race swaps, that doesn't mean automatically you're racist. That seems like a very sensible statement. Let's see how Ed takes that.
You don't like race swaps does not automatically mean that. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Even if it doesn't mean that you are a racist, you are still, whether you know it or not, whether you're consciously trying to do it, you are still essentially saying, I don't want to see black people on the screen.
No,
not because you're a racist, but because the market conditions.
I want to see authentically represented ones, not ham-fisted. I've heard it referred to as hand-me-down characters. Yeah, it's like, why not make something authentic? That's the only thing. It's not, I don't want to see them at all. I don't understand this black and white thinking.
So, like, what's his opinion of, like, 12 Years a Slave? That was 2013.
Well, he probably thinks that it is not accurate representation.
That's not accurate
and it should be changed. Oh. I mean, you know, it does have the old Brad Pitt character. But, yeah. I don't know. At the time, it was given crap for its weird white saviorness at the end. Nowadays, I think that would be over the top. But yeah, I doubt that the representation is where it should be for today.
Because of the period.
Have black people on the big screen, and the only things that are getting made are all these fucking properties that are based on other things. Then you're gonna have to put a black person in those other things. Otherwise, you're not gonna have black people in the theater.
Forced diversity.
I don't think you want that. And I don't think most people want that. So yeah, what else are we gonna do, man? Realistically, what is the alternative? That's what I want to know. What is the alternative to this shit? You know,
Create
other than just having
authentic original programming
that has
or
always had
content.
a white person, only have white people in it. In which case, who is that helping and who is that hurting? You know? Characters, demographics, and how the straw man's going to cancel them instead of the character's motivations and the stories and analysis of what the character does. Exactly, man. Oh, you're not. Inauthentic diversity is not like inauthentic. I mean, it can be, but sometimes well-intentioned people just make mistakes. Yeah. So I wouldn't really even paint inauthentic representation as inherently racist.
Patrick, stop using your cell phone.
To say that it's all inherently racist meant that
T9 doesn't correct.
Put all this effort into representation specifically to do it wrong, and that is absurd. That is absurd. It serves nobody financially. It serves nobody optically. That is to me, that's just a bizarre claim to make. You know, I don't think it boils down to I don't want to see black people on screen. But that is what you're saying, though. I'm not saying you feel that way actively as a person. What I'm saying is the objective, inevitable.
So then, if you're using that same logic, then isn't Ed saying that he doesn't want to see white people on screen because he doesn't want to see them in certain roles? Like, it's just a really stupid line of reasoning. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
See, he would be against, and this comes into like a debate. He initially probably touches upon an idea. Hollywood wants to move away from period pieces because sometimes they're problematic or hard to do in a current environment.
In the current environment, it would be tough.
Because you would have to, let's say you were doing a piece on Louis XIV, or you know, you have to use a setting. White. You would have to do that
if you want to be historically accurate.
You know, and there was been this.
What was that other? What was that other play that was recent? I'm sorry, but what was that play?
Hamilton.
Hamilton. Isn't that like
with black actors or like an alt? It's not
to replace all the white actors, right?
Like historical, kind of thing.
I think there were a couple.
I didn't watch it. Yes.
It's meant to be satirical a little bit, but
right. But I'm just saying. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted.
Yeah, and I don't think that really had like a huge controversy. I don't think everyone was in uproar. Like, how dare?
I think it's the only thing is the only controversy that got was like some of the satire was like they tried to take a jab at the founding fathers, but no one really wholeheartedly condemned it. It's like creativity, you know?
Right, because it wasn't historically accurate. It was just supposed to be
for sure. That's kind of the only criticism I saw. But like it's kind of well done. Like it's the music is catchy and it's not a bad story.
Now remember, Sir Patrick Stewart played Othello.
Yeah, that's true. He has whitewashed in the past. But sorry, back to Ed.
The outcome of that fucking belief of saying that is that you are also saying, because of the market conditions in film and television as it is right now, you are saying that. You are saying I don't want to see black people on the screen. You know? So stop saying racist. Just say it's good to do diversity. Not that people that don't like it are racist. Well, I mean, dude, again, who else is going to complain about it? You know, like for me, it's fair to call it racist. That's the only reason why you could ever even mention. First of all, one of the things that I detest,
it's a trap.
I really detest, and I think society just needs to move past is the idea that you need to be evil to be a racist, right? That's like saying Nazi Germany was full of evil people. It's just not the truth, man. That's not how it works.
This is where I lost it.
Good people can't have racist fucking predispositions.
I can understand what he's saying, like the whole like not really wanting evil. Like I understand. I was almost in a debate about good and evil. I don't know. I think we all can say bad. Like, you know, there's definitely good things and bad things. If there's like truly evil or not, okay, that's up for debate. But yeah, I don't think anyone would argue that racism is good. And here's where he's kind of using that good evil thing as like a deflection. So.
Yeah.
But
and when people say evil, they're not saying like, I feel like you have the fucking the devil up in your ass, and he's like, you know, Satan is making you. Well, we're saying evil like we think it sucks. It's a terrible fucking thing to do. It's the worst thing you do. Evil.
But then he slips up a couple times and also calls it a sin. So it's like, I don't know. In a weird way, he is also sneaking that in here. But yeah, let's let him explain. I couldn't say it as eloquently as he does.
And shit, right? Let's like regular people and shit like that. How am I being obtuse, bro? I am not being obtuse.
How is he doing?
What you're saying is that like it's not fair.
How dare you call him a contrarian?
Is that racism is not always a product of hatred. Racism is more often than not just a product of sheer ignorance, right? Like, for example, we all have a fucking old ass fucking relative who is low-key racist. Are they evil? No, you know? And if you were probably to look back at what they grew up under and the sort of propaganda and media, you might even understand where it came from so that it has a context. The idea that racism is evil is just a way for someone to never, ever think about what they do or say and how it fits within a racist context. Because essentially, when you say that racism is evil, you're saying you have to be evil to be a racist. And therefore, you're going to ask yourself, am I a racist, aka am I evil? And even if you are, most evil people aren't going to fucking admit to themselves that they're evil. You know,
he's talking about bias, not racism. Okay?
We all have our good days. We all have our bad days. We all have our biases.
He's talking about the idea,
shit, right?
I would love to know what is his justification of good versus evil.
He's good. Pretend that you need to be
for sure. I think that's his only distinction. But yeah, I think he goes on just a little bit more and it kind of explains it in a way.
Okay,
but
let's let him go.
This fucking monster to occasionally fuck up and all that shit, right? That is not the way to defeat racism. The way to defeat racism is to have an honest and open conversation, and that means that I'm going to say that even if you yourself are not actively a racist person, the eventual outcome of your actions and your words, whether you know them or not, are inevitably racist. And if I don't tell you that, we're never going to get to the core of the issue. We're never going to actually solve
Solving the issue is you realizing that you're racist. Why didn't you just realize that?
See, this part is less about... See, this part is more of when he's talking about his political views or what he... When they separate it in. Yeah. Because I certainly am one of the grayest quote people, even though, like... I guess that's why I would describe myself as a moderate Republican, but like we describe ourselves as I see the gray in things. I don't look at an issue like he's trying to say, oh, if you oppose a certain group being somewhere, that's racist. No. That's the idea I think he's going with. And like he's mixing it with the concept of good and evil because you're seeing in like the population of the US now, like remember what I said earlier, Patrick? When was and I had this debate with maybe somebody, or maybe since you guys are the other. This current generation is one of the least religious generations in all of American history coming up. You have more spiritual people. Like, even if you, let's say, don't go to church every Sunday or twice a week or something like that, you still were raised Judeo-Christian. So you have a concept of good versus evil. Am I right? Even if you didn't believe it, you were taught it.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. So I still think that you'd kind of get that tribalistic, like good, evil, us, them. I think you'd still get that without necessarily the religion. But yeah, you're right. It does seem like there are less religiosity today than in the past.
So the tribalism that these people, what I say these when I look at Ed, is it's this weird, demented, like, if you don't tote my cause, and I've caught him on other streams, and he still goes in and yes mans for Dane.
Yes. Yeah, it must be on some sort of terms.
He agrees with them. He said himself, he agrees with them ideologically.
Yeah. Well, I think he goes a little bit more into the. Oh, sorry. Go right ahead, Patrick.
No, I was just gonna say. I think he just needs some more friends. I think
he really needs better.
Sure.
He hasn't like banned me in his chat. Like, I guess.
Yeah, he does seem better than Dane in that front.
I give him shit.
However,
a lot.
He should get some shit for what he does coming right up here.
This problem. That's the truth of it, man. And that's all that I'm here to do. If I'm calling something racist, I'm not calling it evil. I'm calling it flawed. I'm calling it ignorant. All right. And that's something that I really wish people understood is that racism is just not uncommon, bro. It's not uncommon. And nobody is fucking like completely free of that sin either. All right.
So now it's a sin. But it's not good or evil.
Honestly, talk about it. We can't hold ourselves or anybody else accountable because in that fucking scenario, we're all living by plausible deniability, and that's how racism fucking like exists and survives generation after generation, dude.
Well, I'm glad he explained it to us.
To bring people together, not label half the people as racist, common ground. But if you don't call out,
what was that shit by Lion Mom?
Right? If they are indeed racist, then how are you going to deal with that problem?
It comes back up.
What if half the
that's
people are
another one of ours.
racist? Again, racism isn't evil. I'm not saying racism is evil. I'm saying 90% of the time, racism is just pure ignorance.
Yeah, it's not evil. You're just bad, wrong, faulty.
How are they going to fucking deal with the fact that
Sunlight is the best solvent.
People away by okay, yes, you do maybe push people away, but that is their personal issue. If you feel like you're being pushed away by being called a racist, that is your personal issue. Because you know what else you can do when someone calls you a racist? You can listen to them. You can hear what they have to say. You can hear from their point of view.
Why? What fuck should I?
If you automatically just want to fucking run away from the fight the second someone calls you a racist, congratulations, you're part of the problem. Because you're automatically saying, I don't really want to fucking listen to what anybody has to say. Like, it doesn't matter what other people think about my actions or my words. What matters is what I believe about my own intentions. And buddy, I'm sorry to break it to you, but intentions are a bullshit fucking concern for anybody but the person having them. Nobody gives a fuck about fucking intentions.
Moron.
With the fact
that's bad.
You are being ignorant by fucking listening to someone when they tell me I'm being ignorant. If I'm being ignorant,
he has no idea. Sunlight is the best solvent.
Oh, he's asking. He really wants to know how he's being ignorant. I'm sure somebody's going to explain it to him and he's going to accept it. He talked about how, like if somebody calls you racist, you're just supposed to go ahead and accept that, right? Like that's what you're supposed to do. You don't want it to push you away. You don't want it to, other you. It's your choice. So let's see. He's probably just going to go ahead and accept when somebody gives him a little bit of pushback, right? Like that would be the thing to do.
I am more than willing to listen, dude. I'm a dummy. I am not a smart man. All right. I wouldn't have gotten this far in my life if I didn't have the humility to listen to people who are fucking smarter than me. Okay. Well, I give a fuck about your intention. You're not answering my question, bro. You're not answering
not your
question.
intention.
How am I being ignorant? That's what I want to know. I don't want to be ignorant. Please educate me.
Okay. It sounds like he really wants to know.
I think it's okay to send death threats just because exactly. That's very true.
Half of them
pretending that nothing is ever racist does not make racism exactly, dude.
He has a thing with statistics and halves. It's just simplistic to just say 50% of the time, all the time.
Yeah, but, and then hold on, don't unpause because look at Lion Mom Man. Pretending that nothing is ever racist does not make racism go away. I'm not saying that nothing is ever fucking racist. It's
the dumbest statement ever.
That a straw man?
Nobody is saying like just cover your eyes and don't pay attention to it. We're saying, hey, calling everything racist, like something as simple as, hey, I don't like this casting choice, really minimizes actual racism, and it really doesn't make a conversation happen.
It helps the racists.
For sure. I think it offers cover for real racist situations. If you're just calling everything racist, then nothing's racist. It really sucks. But yes, I would also argue that back to Lion Mom.
It's like anything else. How are you going to fucking fix your broken leg if you don't fucking acknowledge that it's broken? Like, that's it, man.
Acknowledging it's broken is not going to fix it.
Yes.
Good for you. Nobody else does. You give a fuck about intentions because you care more about the intentions of somebody being called a racist. I wonder why. Okay. You care more about
he's got
the intentions of somebody being called a racist.
I mean, you're not evil, but
why.
He's definitely implying that you are full of sin. Yeah, let's get back to him. I wonder why.
Thinking, hey, maybe the people calling him a racist might have a point. Why don't you go there? Why don't you start there? Why don't you start with the idea that, hey, maybe somebody might be being a racist right now? Why do you automatically assume
maybe somebody is?
Like it's all bullshit. That's what I'm curious about. You just put words in my mouth and call me a racist. I just mentioned the mermaid controversy without even stating my opinion on it. I'm willing to have the convo, but you're being disingenuous. What did you say here? Let's see.
Oh, I love this guy later on.
What did I?
Yeah,
it's a hell of a statement.
Help me out here. I don't want to. Okay, dude. I'm not. You see what I mean? So what if I'm calling you? I'm not being a disingenuous person. I always said that if I see racism,
it's not disingenuous to misinterpret what a person says.
That is racist. I'm not saying you're an evil person. All right, more likely
Just
than
you're
not,
full of
you're
sin.
just being ignorant, and I can prove it to you because
just
look
being
at the way,
ignorant.
look at the market.
You know,
Just look at the
Patrick,
market,
how did you
dude.
like being
look at the
judged
fucking
by
film
those
market,
Catholic
and then look at
nuns?
what you're saying, and then you tell me what else am I supposed to fucking think?
Sorry.
That it's not
I
about
think
race.
his habit
What
was
else am
on
I supposed to
display.
fucking think? Seriously. I'm as smart as you, so maybe we're both dumb. You're being ignorant by blanketing a group of people as something bad and alienating them. I literally said racism isn't mean you're like being a racist.
Like,
doesn't
I
mean
care
you're
about
evil.
bringing everyone
I
together.
literally.
So apparently, the only way that you can alienate is by calling evil. He's not actually engaging with this. That like calling it a sin, calling it bad, even if you're not going to call it evil, you're still
sin,
alienating
bad,
these people
ignorant,
and otherizing them. Yeah, ignorant, whatever you want to call them, you're otherizing
wrong,
themselves.
faulty.
Yeah, and you care about bringing people together. Hey, that's actually really empathetic, which is something that he was talking about before. He doesn't seem to have it though, but I don't think he gets that far in your sentence.
He said that. I really dislike the equivocation of racism with evil, with hatred, or like all that shit.
Isn't he the one making that equivocation?
Like
You've never mentioned evil
fucking
once.
rallying against that, bro. What the fuck are you talking about?
Philosophy is
seriously
not his thing.
Fair enough.
Again, dude, if you feel alienated, if you're so fucking like selfish that if somebody fucking tells you, hey, you're
I didn't
being
say
racist,
me, I said
and
them.
you just don't want to hear what they have to say and all that shit, I'm sorry, bro. You're part of the problem.
And no part of what you said says that you don't want to hear what they have to say. You're literally giving him some advice that he's othering and alienating people by labeling them. I don't know. It's very strange, his interpretations of this.
And because it's all bullshit, hey man, honestly, like people are not always aware of their own fucking behaviors and actions. All right, don't be dumb. How am I being dumb? How am I being dumb?
Don't be dumb, bitch.
It's ignorance. Racism is ignorance. Ignorance is bad, yes, but if you don't
Okay,
call
so he
it
agrees.
ignorance, you're not going to make it go away.
So he agrees it's bad. So now he's not straw manning and saying that you're bringing up this whole weird evil argument. Okay, so I'm sure it's all understanding from here. You guys have agreed.
Where
It's
I
like
was
semantics,
racist,
though.
but
Like, I mean,
because
if
you
calling it evil is no
objectively
different than calling it
look
like
at
fucking
the market
anything else. It's
conditions.
just-
I will not repeat this again.
Yeah.
If you objectively
But the market
look
conditions,
at the
man.
numbers, at the market conditions, all right, you're gonna see that original movies, no matter what race the fucking the stars are or any of that, they're not doing as well. Okay, and because movie studios are mainly there to make money, not to do the right thing. They're
What
gonna
if
put
you
black
open
people
a
in people
film?
of color in traditionally white
What
roles
if you
because otherwise
open a
there aren't
film
gonna
at a
be
bad
black people or
time?
people of color in
Yeah,
traditional
it
in
could,
any movie.
it could be detrimental.
Period. That's it. I'm not saying you are a racist. I'm saying complaining about that inevitably leads to a racist fucking outcome. You do what
I was watching.
Is that what you're saying?
That makes you feel racist.
I was
Exactly
watching
that.
this
now.
I was watching this chat because he's already contradicted himself multiple times.
Oh yes.
God.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking over watching this chat while I was playing Diablo, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta not look at this or else I'm gonna die randomly.
It was really entertaining. Yeah, if you do get a chance, I think he has the chat replay on this, but yeah, the chat was going off on him.
The chat was ratioing him so hard.
Yes, pretty hard.
It was pretty bad.
But he does display some of it to his credit, which is nice.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Deal with it. But I'm just objectively pointing out facts here, bro. That's all I'm
He's
doing.
being objective. Come on, this is all facts.
I'm missing the point on purpose. No, I'm not. I'm not missing the point. You're trying to fucking
Not
you're
on
trying
purpose,
to
anyway.
fucking make sure that you protect this idea that racism is inherently evil. Because if you were to
Why?
actually admit
You've never
that
said this.
racism is just a fact, it's just like a factor in a lot of people's lives that it doesn't always point to like a deep-seated hatred, you're gonna actually have to fucking listen to what I have to say. And based on the fact that you're already so against listening to other people, that you clearly think that the
what have
person
you said that
accusing
says that
someone
you're
else of being racist is wrong. Like, I don't know what I can do for you, bro. I really don't know what I can do for you. If you automatically are so on the side of offending people,
good graphics card.
like, okay, that's your side, bro. That's
I
what
could
you
use a
wanna
new
do.
computer.
We all.
Hey, my family had racist people and live separate from black people. It's called segregation. Yeah, we all have shitty people. We all have like in our past and shit, bro. Like it's just like. But anyways, let's get back to the topic at hand here.
Whitney's a great person.
All right, let's watch the quartering.
No.
I don't want to watch the quartering.
Why do you
can
want to
tell
fucking
you
say
something. Oh, here it is.
Like, I'm curious, Ripaverse. Why are you so thirsty?
The biggest starter coming to
Ripaverse has entered the chat.
Guys out there, bro.
I can't believe he actually showed up.
Nobody fucking told you to fucking do this.
Yeah,
You
it's
devote
funny.
your entire life to defending Eric July. So tell me, man. Like, what? About
I was
Eric
very
July
surprised
do
to
you
see
find
this when I
goddamn
was in
attractive
here.
that you devote your life to doing this.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious.
And I'm waiting for the video of him ratioing Ed. Like
Yeah.
the tweet. I know that's what that person does.
And by the way, let's just point out once again, Ed's go-to is gay jokes.
For sure. I
gay jokes.
believe he might have done one there, but the main ones are coming up. And I didn't even clip all of them. I just tried to grab what was pertaining to kind of your situation. But I hope, Ripaverse Goalpost makes something on that because he went off on him pretty hard. And it does seem to be in one direction and it's kind of bigoted. So and that's weird that he can't see that in his own actions. But Yeah, danger.
It's because it's evil.
Argue or making it at all is, I think, no, hey, that's fine. I'm not here to argue anything. I'm just saying, like, it's just the facts and shit, you know?
Oh, it's just
I'm
the
the
facts.
side of people, all of us. Cool, then maybe listen to black people when they speak.
I have facts, you know.
Maybe if a black person calls you like a racist, like if you really are on the side of all people, maybe instead of getting really defensive and telling them to fuck off, maybe you listen to what they got to say. All right?
Say fuck off.
Yeah, have you ever told a black person to fuck off when they called you racist? I mean, yet. There's always tomorrow, but yet. Yes. I'm assuming. Oh.
Once a day.
Well, we'll have to talk about that later. But I was assuming you probably hadn't said that. Your chats certainly don't imply that. But yeah, he's certainly really reading a lot into this. But I'm sure he's going to be reasonable soon. He's going to calm down. He's probably going to tucker himself out, and then just, it'll be smooth sailing. You'll come see eye to eye. It'll be great. Let's see.
Perfect.
As racist, I don't even know if we can proceed. So me just point, dude, because again, I'm not telling you you're a fucking evil human being for being racist. You're just not thinking you're just not thinking the implications of your beliefs all the way through. That's all I'm saying, bro. That's all I'm saying. I don't think you're an evil person. I don't think you want to fucking go and round up black people and kill them or nothing, bro. I'm just saying you're not thinking the implications of what you believe all the way through to
your beliefs will lead to that.
Because if
even if you're not saying it,
you would realize what I'm advocating for is low-key racist. That doesn't mean you're a racist. That doesn't mean you're evil. It doesn't mean anything of that.
I don't think he meant to say it that way, but I don't know. Wouldn't it be not low-key? Wouldn't it be overt racism for not wanting to see black people on the screen? Yeah. I don't know. Perhaps I'm wrong. Maybe we have a different definition of low-key, but that doesn't seem low-key to me.
He's thinking of low-key.
Not thinking this shit all the way through, bro. That's all I'm saying. Well, I mean, buddy, apparently you think all cries of racism are fucking...
no, I think the fake ones.
Yes.
Goddamn right I did, buddy. 100%. Yes, I did.
Here it goes.
I'll say it again. Eric July's and Uncle Tom. There you go.
Why? Why would you have that shit-eating grin while saying a slur?
I know. Terrible.
My channel is called The Quartering. I cover breaking news 5 to 6 times.
And the current update is recording this video. Ripa versus Goalpost have not ratioed Ed yet. He's been going after other people.
Well, Ed's not very big.
Breakdown over Trump on set.
He's been going after Minty and one of the Dick Masterson people.
Let's go with the Elon Musk fucking thing. Video to go out on because he's so bored.
This guy's a weirdo.
I'm looking out for you guys, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me, honestly. Like, if I'm being racist, explain it to me.
See how fast that went off? I don't even know what it said.
Yeah. He's like, what? No, I'm being racist. What? I mean, he did just say slur, but again, he would only say as a derogatory remark towards people of one ethnicity. But I don't know. How is he being racist? I don't understand.
Only as a shitty way to describe one black person.
Here from the recording, it looks like my assumption in the first video today covering the Titanic submarine was correct. We now have confirmation from multiple sources that it is indeed.
And I think he forgot to put the video up as well.
I just pointed out the inevitable conclusion of your thought process, dude. Again,
it's inevitable.
All you got to do, Danger, and I
want black people to not be on screen.
Last time I address you, unless you actually take me up on my challenge.
It's a really good.
Take a look at the film market, bro.
Later.
Take a look at the film market. Honestly, just take a look at it. And tell me where all the original movies are in the top 10. Tell me where all the original high-grossing movies are.
How many movies do you watch?
Go ahead, buddy. And if studios are disincentivized from making original movies with original black characters on it, then what's the solution, Danger? Honestly, what's the solution? You tell me.
So what Ed, why don't you have black people in your Mexican movies you watch?
I'm literally saying Eric July needs to be kinder to black people.
That's not what
I'm talking about an individual, not an entire race of people, right? So it's literally not racism.
He's begging for an explanation.
Yeah, he really is. He is asking you how that is. So are you aware of any sort of definition of slur where it has to be referring to the entire group of people, not an individual? Because I thought, Chris Rock had a whole bit about, I
mean,
a certain
the N-word
slur. Yeah, how people could act as that slur or a different way.
Chris Rock skits you can't do anymore.
But it didn't seem like he was talking about an entire group of people can act this way or an entire group of people can act that. I don't know. It seemed like it was more individual. Every other slur that I can think of would also be individual, not really a group of people. I don't know. I'm not even sure like his train of thought for this justification. But yeah, somebody seems to back him on this, which is kind of weird. But
I love this face he puts forward. It's that punchable. It's that like those.
Shitty grin.
Do you know like that clown you toy as a kid, like that blow up clown doll that you could punch?
Oh yeah, the punching bag.
Yes,
the bopper one. Yes, yeah, I can see
and
that.
I'm telling him, hey,
Can you
He should be
see
more
that?
inclusive. I don't care if he's black. Nobody
Just-
should hate black people as much as Eric July. I don't care what your race is.
Ugh,
Right? I don't care
how?
what your race is. But
How?
Eric July hates black people.
The guy
That's
literally
fucked
made a
up.
fucking
I'll say it
comic
1,000 times over.
about a black
What's your
character,
prediction for Isaac's
original black
campaign?
character.
My
What the
prediction
fuck?
is suck
We
a dick,
lost
Ripperverse.
An
Gray, you
implosion.
okay?
And there's a
Yeah,
lot of
that made
news
me
and
laugh,
information
cough, and
that
I could not.
And Uncle Tom is someone who actively
Ooh,
works
we're getting
against
another
the goals of the black community. Yeah,
Oh, you
100%.
finally
That's
remembered to
racist.
put the video
I don't
up.
care who you are.
along with that.
So the black community can only have one goal, apparently, and if you're not following that, you're okay being referred to as this thing. It seems like that would be referring to, again, a group of people, not an individual. So I don't know. His definitions just don't seem to line up. But
So what
And I-
Ed
and I
is
meant-
saying, so I'll
Go
just say
ahead.
it a second. So what Ed is saying here, translation, if you don't follow the monolith of what you are told, the black community has a monolith it must follow.
mhm.
One
And if you don't
person,
fit
one
that-
direction. You are not part of that. You went off the reservation or the plantation.
And now you get labeled with this term that only calls people of one color who disagree. I don't know. That's just even the way that I've heard that slur used before. That's not
See.
exactly how I've heard that used.
I think I've heard you say it before. Like, how can Eric July? Eric July is the what is it? So I think you said it before. I've heard it from other channels where they tried to label Chappelle it the white supremacist, or you could be a black white supremacist.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that label before as well. Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
I guess I don't quite understand that, but I guess that's their point is that he favors the white race, which again I haven't seen, but
Yes.
I don't know. Could he not just be a dissenting opinion in a group that he's in? I don't understand why you'd then be able to be a slur.
It's okay.
I don't know.
You know, I might be getting ahead of myself a little bit here, but
He can help himself, Patrick.
yeah, but I can't help myself. So this is what bothers me with this whole situation is that you're sitting here for 2 hours talking about racism, this and that, racist, this systemic problems, and this is you don't even know when you're racist. You have no idea because it's just in there. And then wouldn't you just motherfucking choose to use any other way to describe Eric July but a fucking term from a book that specifically talks about a slave and like call him a fucking sellout, like,
or a grifter. Just they keep saying
so
grifter. Like, why not just that? But apparently, if you're of a certain race, he's got a new special term for you. I don't understand. Yeah,
That thing I'm going to try to cover in a non.
I should have did a beer
Oh,
count.
this
How
way.
much he drunk during this?
I didn't know these people.
You can't really tell.
I'm not gonna
I've
pretend
actually
to
been
be,
paying attention.
personally affected by it, but
Well, not
it
from this.
sucks. It's exploration
shitty.
is.
I definitely didn't grab
so
every time he's
rare.
drinking.
Explain it to me. Explain how me calling someone an Uncle Tom is a racist. I just
Okay.
want an
Well, he's
explanation,
asking for
BasedLife.
explanations. So.
I'm willing. I'm all
sure
ears.
he's gonna be
I've tried
able
several
to.
times.
Please explain to me.
There's several
me
chats
telling a
he
black
didn't
person
put up.
to be fair to black
Yes,
people.
there are.
You know,
I wish,
Patrick,
we
you
could
should have
get
had the image of Dr. House as your
How
avatar.
do we go down? They say so much about our space exploration. There's so much about the ocean that we don't know.
All right. The thing about fucking the quartering is that the dude is too Xanaxed out to fucking
Fair.
speak with any fucking
Cool.
cadence or rhythm. So I'm gonna speak.
That's
this
actually a
fucking-
very slow video. I can't bring myself to watch Jeremy. It's very painful.
I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah,
watched a bunch
black
of his
men
videos,
who are
so-
There we
actually
go.
hating on the black race. Again, how is that a slur though? How is it a slur to call an individual
slur.
person? Right? I'm calling Eric July
What
an
an
Uncle
idiot.
Tom. I'm not calling an entire race of people anything.
You know,
So
at least
it's
he
not
didn't
a
call him
slur
the C word.
if you're applying it to an
Yeah,
individual.
you call me
it an
N-word then?
insult, Fine,
I
it's
mean,
an
what the
insult,
fuck?
but it's not a slur by definition.
I'm
A
sorry,
racial slur
Sketchy
than
Got
say-
Hands
than
did
say
that.
be-
Yes,
There we
it
go.
was Sketchy Goth Hands. Again,
other
a
people in
great,
Dane's
great
chat.
chatter in there. Yeah.
He's a great
Yeah.
chat. He's always in Ed's chat. I have
Yes,
argued
I've
with
seen him
him.
there as
Who's that?
That Sketchy Goth Hands. He's the guy
Oh,
who
yeah.
often throws a bunch of slurs around as well. I
Yeah.
don't know. Just I'm not a fan of
Weird dude.
slurs, but these guys seem to be okay with it if you
I
agree
just
with
think there's
them
better
politically.
words to use.
AKA
sure.
Reggie is his name, and he has an
Yeah.
artist.
Fair to black people. Don't use a racist slur. What's wrong with you? Again, explain to me how it's racist.
It's a really good
I'm all
point.
ears. Just explain it to me. Tell me why it's racist.
And,
Because
there seems to be a lot less.
it's
funding
a
and
slur
interest in actually
towards
exploring the
one
differences. What
ethnicity.
cures could be down there? What medicines could be down there? All these
It's
kinds of things that
It's a
folks
slur
don't
of a
understand.
person of an
black people
ethnicity
still
that
up.
does something you don't
Why don't you
agree with.
devote your life
Yeah.
to like something else besides trying to have sex with Eric July?
Again, it's really strange that he's using this as some sort of insult. I don't know. It seems very 90s of him.
He stole that.
About living
He
in the
stole
past.
that from Dane, though.
Yeah, I
Dane's
have
the
also
one-
heard Dane use
Dane's
some of
the
that
one-
casual.
He did the same thing to Gray and I, though. He was like, "What's Gray, your boyfriend? You guys get married?"
Yeah, that actually led
Yeah,
to
what we were.
a future video where we're going to be, or I guess a past video where we're going to be talking about, a conversation that was trying to have with DJ
Invite
Eric.
me. He wants an invitation to your guys' wedding.
Yes, exactly. That was how Eduardo
That
put
was
it.
on Twitter.
He seems to be just fine mocking people, thinking it's an insult to call them gay. I could care less whether someone's gay. I didn't take it as an insult, but I thought it was weird seeing as how other initiative members are gay, and they do make a point to make a lot of content about that. So I don't know. It just seems odd to go there, but it's his go-to, and he does it quite a few times with Rippaverse. I didn't even grab all of them from this stream.
I'm sorry, Rippaverse. Like, he's married. He seems to be happily married. He's not going to sleep with you, bro. Why are you spending your life trying to hook up with someone who's married? That's fucked up.
Lost their lives. I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and we're going to take a look at first the moment it was confirmed and everything we now know.
So I used to notice Ed in Dane's chat before Ed was asked to join the initiative. Does that mean Ed was looking to sleep with Dane? I don't know, but yeah, back to Ed. We're almost done with this.
Homophobic kid fucker.
By the way, if you're already a subscriber of my channel,
we're getting to the good
if you're not
part.
Subscribed. Please do subscribe button down below for regular.
I like how this guy is all fucking like performatively like bummed out and depressed about this shit when he actively like
could he not
celebrates
actually
when
be
black
bummed
men,
out
like, gay
that
and trans
some
people
dudes
fucking,
died?
are fucking shit on or fucking like
It's a bummer news.
Guy's
Or
such a
bummer
fucking
news.
piece of shit.
It's a bad way to go, dude. You don't even realize you die.
Also, I have.
Yeah, hopefully it's quick.
That is
But,
not explaining.
They
why
died in
why
like
Uncle Tom
0.3
is racist,
seconds or
so
some
it's like,
shit
please
like that.
explain to me why that's racist. I'm here. I'm listening. You got to the end of the stream. All right.
Oh, he needs that explanation now. You've got.
No, he's telling
the
me.
clock is ticking. You've got to explain it to him now. He's going to be reasonable. He's going to understand it. Let's go.
Of this other channel called the Publica, where I upload videos.
I mean, I've tried quite a few times already. So,
and not just you.
Oh, he has a white patient's race and now decide priority for surgeons. That's fucking crazy. It wasn't enough for him to do like the quartering. Like he has
Maybe
to
he
now
should
put
make
on like,
his
this whole
text
other
bigger.
fucking channel.
You know, for a
and
person
men
who
can give
has
birth.
a lot of hate,
And of course, I've
says
done a
people
couple videos
shouldn't
last couple days,
hate
so,
and be happy.
check those out and
He
subscribe
sure
to
hates on the
Now,
quartering.
we have,
I don't
so
like
yes,
the quartering,
yeah,
and I don't
missing
watch his
aborted.
ass.
Am
I
I
saw
a
it.
co-founder of? No, I was just a contributor for a while. Well, going back to your point of not wanting black actors on screen, if I complain about the race swap of Ancient One and Doctor Strange, does it mean I don't want to see women on screen?
Really good point. I think he explains it here, but you know about the kind of background of the Ancient One. Like, by his logic, it seems like it would also be that you don't like women on screen.
Well, I mean,
That
women on
doesn't
screen is a totally
bother
different
me.
topic.
I mean, that's
Yeah, for sure. I really like the depiction of it.
the
Yeah,
ancient
because,
one is the ancient one's kind of a weird one. Either it could be like a man. It could be
Yeah,
a woman.
depending on which universe you're in, I know it's changed.
There's never been a shortage of women on screen. So I would say no. I don't think complaining about that specific thing is an issue. But unless that woman happens to be of a different race, then it's a different conversation. In fact, now that I think about it, like there weren't a whole lot of roles like in all these IPs, lead roles for women. So now that I think about it, I don't think it's as bad as like a racial
maybe then
issue,
yes.
but I think there
Guys,
is
there
something
was
to be said about
no
the gender issue on that. Yeah.
female roles in Marvel ever.
No.
Black Widow. Who's the other Shield agent? Maria Hill.
She's dead now.
Captain Marvel.
Spoilers.
I guess he had to think about that, and there is like a hierarchy.
Scarlet
they are
Witch.
oppressed, so women count too. He is inclusive.
Gamora.
The quartering is special when he actually has an entire subreddit named The Quartering is a Nazi dedicated to his insanity. Oh, I'll get into that shit. Sure. Examination of the is a negative term only used for black men. It's racist. It's no different than saying a hard
Patrick,
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So to answer your question on here, no, he does not
Okay.
understand.
First and foremost, it's supposed to say explanation.
Yeah.
There's typo.
I mean, it is kind of an examination of Ed's characteristics and character, but yeah, you're right. I think explanation would work a little bit better.
Let's read the sentence out loud, though.
Yeah.
Ray, you want to read this out loud?
Sure.
For the
explanation.
class?
Uncle Tom is a negative term only used for black men. It's racist. It's no different than saying a hardworking Mexican is a wetback. Do you understand now? It was an analogy, and you were trying to put it in a term that would relate to him, that is offensive, and say, you see, it would be how you would take offense to this. And again, it's labeling an individual. I like how you also brought it back to individual, because he was mentioning it's an entire group. It's a wide swath. But your question on this, do you understand now? spoiler, he's going to say no, or we're going to see no play out with his explanation on this.
You're about to see a proverbial meltdown, and then he misconstrues this and gets corrected by chat later on.
Once again, let's just say,
but not before banning Patrick into the center of the sun.
Yeah. A hardworking Mexican is a wetback, which I'm 100%. That is a terrible.
It would be a terrible thing to do.
Awful term, because I've spent, we've spent the last however many time, but I spent 2 hours in this chat saying it's fucking horrendous to use the word Uncle Tom, and then I compare it to this word wetback.
This might be the way to go into this. So it is just Wikipedia, but I just figured it's a way that people could kind of look up the glossary, or at least what these things are. And this is an ethnic slur, so even if you don't want to call it a racial slur, it is definitely ethnic. It is at least classified that way through a bunch of documentation. And some terms, even such as gringo or yank, can be used in casual speech without the intention of causing offense, but they would be considered a pejorative, if you will. But yeah, once you get into the one, so Uncle Tom, it is on this list, and it refers to black people perceived as behaving in a subservient manner to white authority figures.
See, Patrick, I'd have to disown you if you came to Texas and said that to one of my Mexican friends. I'd have to disown you.
Also on that list would be wetback, and it refers to undocumented immigrants residing in the United States. Of course, it does have the racial connotation. Both of those do. I think that's a really good example, but he didn't seem to understand why you brought that up. But yeah, let's see if he maybe he does understand. Maybe I'm
how, dude? Go ahead and explain to me how those two things are related, because you literally just used a racist slur, by the way. That is like what Mexicans consider the N-word. You just
is a racial slur,
bro. Seriously, is that what you want to do? You want to?
But I'm going to say this: if you've ever been around a Mexican or Latino, they do talk shit.
Hold on. We got to pause this. We can't.
Yeah, this is kind of where he's going off the rails.
Very important. Very important.
Is. He keeps kind of changing the history of what just happened here. But twice now at least twice he has made the accusation that you have now called him that, which this text clearly is not saying that. It was using an analogy for clarification to bring it more relatable to him. But let's hear just his explanation of this one more time.
Because you literally just used a racist slur, by the way. That is like what Mexicans consider the N-word. You just called me the N-word, bro.
No, he did not.
Seriously, is that what you want to do? You want to fucking accuse me of using a slur by calling me an actual fucking slur?
He did no such thing.
Again, used for black men individually, right? Like when you call someone a wetback,
both of these are individual.
You're judging them as part of an entire fucking group, right? If I call someone an Uncle Tom, I'm saying that individual needs to be more cool towards black people. That's it. Oh god damn.
That's not what that term means, Ed.
I am not putting up with that shit. Go fuck yourself, bro.
Yeah, right there was the ban.
All right, let's keep watching.
Titanic sub has now confirmed the debris found was a landing frame.
He didn't get it. He didn't understand now.
No, he didn't.
WhatsApp message live on.
But he gets corrected by chat.
Prefers unoriginal movies and shows. It's delusional. People want new content. Where? Show me the fucking evidence, man. Show me the box office evidence, Rippaverse. I'm very curious about this. I know you little Eric July cocksuckers all fucking say this shit to each other, and that's fine. I believe you guys believe it amongst yourself.
Have you ever noticed Dane's go-to stuff is called tell him to go suck a D-toe?
Yeah, I think he stole that from Vosh all the time. Yeah, fair enough. I think he stole that from both Vosh and Hassan, the suck my dick thing. It does seem to be something that can be used in place of an argument. That one's not as egregious. He didn't keep saying like you are in love with him, he won't sleep with you. Those are a little bit more homophobic.
I don't think Hassan's man enough to say that now.
Well, it was a go-to. It's a classic. Maybe he
said he's never watched Vosh either or Hassan.
Oh, he totally has.
He has. I know.
Yeah, bro. I don't give a fuck about what you little crybabies feel. All right, I care about the objective reality.
He is objective in this.
Danger the ancient one race on you. The China market became private heritage was Tibetan. Let's keep watching.
That's true, though.
How is it different?
One was
yeah, and this guy seems to understand exactly what you're saying.
Danger.
To get it. How is it different, Ed? Is he going to engage with this and actually answer? Let's see.
Call someone what he called me.
He didn't call you that.
Calling me the N-word, but for Mexicans.
He literally did not.
Right? Nope. When you call someone the N-word, that means you're judging them derogatorily as part of this race that you automatically say is lesser than. Hence the fucking slur. Okay? When you call one individual black person an Uncle Tom, you're saying this person is actively working against the interests of his own people. You're judging him as an individual, dude. That is the fucking difference. Seriously.
So dense.
It's a huge
insult
difference.
based on a person's behaviors, and they choose a racial slurs based solely on race. Exactly. That it's not that hard to figure out.
Thank you, Captain Whitey.
Well, this guy seems to be agreeing with him. I have never heard the individual as opposed to a group, but I don't know. It still seems like
I didn't know that was a thing.
The group that the individual is in.
This guy is I call him politely a bootlicker of the initiative, but
he's definitely a big fan.
He is in all of their chats.
It's very.
I've noticed him before.
Very fucking simple, right? Like nobody told Eric July to be an Uncle Tom, right?
Oh,
I didn't choose to be Mexican. It's not that hard.
But somebody told him to be, apparently.
I know. A baseline.
And I never said he was that thing because I don't know if he's hardworking.
No, he
not,
called me a
he's
wetback.
illegal.
He legitimately.
Hey, this guy agrees with you, and he's trying to tell him.
Call me a wetback.
On the mother.
All right.
Can we get a
Are
respect
I'd say
for
I'm like
the
a- I'm
baby
like-
from the dinosaur? From Dinosaur.
Oh, Dinosaurs was awesome. I missed that show. Yeah, great foam puppets. Awesome. And I do like how Ripaverse is calling him out here. And yes, he is. But on his scale, where is he?
Got a 4 out of 10.
Oh, he's only at a 4 out of 10.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Because if you really think the market supports,
I would hate to see a 9.
Anybody says 4 out of 10 is usually at a 6.
No, he did. He totally fucking did, bro. I'm sorry that you're so like stuck on defending racist people that you don't like see it from my point of view. But he called me a fucking. He called me. He called me.
Patrick, this is just one of your always.
No, I didn't.
That's just facts, dog. All right.
I really did.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the quartering here. First of all, I want to get to point this out. All right. This is another photo from the court. I have like an old.
You know what's funny, and it's just total coincidence. I swear to Christ.
I think it's interesting.
This is sitting amongst those comics.
Oh yes, I'm the baby.
There you go.
I really like that show, man. That show it was weird, but I liked it.
Yes.
That
it's a good
Jeremy's
show.
logo that he made for his channel to deal with a full head of hair. When
did he make that logo though? I'm sure he had more hair when he made the logo.
You know what I mean?
That's like his original logo.
Why
I
do you
think so.
Eric hates his fans? Because he treats the guys like fucking morons. Like like he's an honest guy. Like I'm sorry, he's a businessman. He understands how supply and demand works. So if he were to actually look at the film market with the same fucking critical thinking that he does to the market that he is like a part of, the comics books industry and all that, then he would see that the fucking market, the film market, doesn't support black actors.
I say this. How does he judge someone hates his fans?
Stupid to complain.
Well, you see, if they understood the film market, then they wouldn't hate their fans so much. I mean, it's really obvious. Why aren't you keeping up with
Eric? Eric would not exist without would have a channel if his fans didn't like him.
I don't think he's actually like making his thoughts actually connect with the questions. I have no idea what question he thought he was answering, but none of that actually.
That's why I say these tier lists are absolute.
Well, yeah, and like I don't know. So these tiers, by the way, are what they think of their fans. If they hate them, need them, don't care about them, or love them, which is really weird. I don't know how you'd possibly know.
He did say Mahler loves his fans.
Yeah,
Clownfish loves his fans.
Yeah. He's very nice. Let's see. I'm sure he's going to be reasonable with this too.
About the lack of original black characters on screen because the answer is right there in front of you, right? So look, I'm not, by saying that he hates you, I'm actually giving him a lot of credit because the opposite fucking possibility here is that he's just stupid. Is that he's
there's only two possibilities, black and white. Either he's stupid or he hates you.
No, there's no mistake about it, buddy. And you know what? I'll go in and ban you too.
Oh no, from another mother. You shouldn't have stood
up for him. Don't ban the baby.
Ban the baby.
Okay, but no, the funny thing about the quartering.
No, did he ban Ripaverse goalposts from this chat?
Preview to the video.
I doubt it.
Right now.
I don't think he'd be. I don't think he'd be that stupid.
I think
that's one of the biggest guys
in there, but he didn't ban him and he didn't ban Danger, and I think I left in where he kind of says that he's not banning Danger, but yeah, he has a couple messages to. I'm guessing it would be you, Patrick, and then I'm guessing it's that from another mother, and I think there were a couple other people that got banned during this. He has a special message for you.
Now, but that's going to be it for today's stream. Thank you all for hanging out, even all the haters. Ripa goalposts, Ripaverse goal, please. Please find other things to devote your life to.
That's the alcohol talking.
What else do we got here? All the people that I banned tonight. Go fuck yourselves. Danger. I'm gonna let you hang on for a while.
Thanks, buddy.
Qualified actors. That's the same, bro.
I will.
I don't know about you, Ripaverse, but if I see a black person succeeding, I don't like assume that it's part of some woke agenda. I believe that black people are talented and competent enough to get jobs just based on their own talent and their own hard work.
Literally not what he said the entire time.
I don't think black actors are good enough to succeed based on their own merits. And I'm sorry that you're such a fucking racist that you automatically assume any black actor is part of some woke agenda.
He did say this entire time, right? That they won't get the roles unless we give them to them.
Talented, but that's a you problem.
Yeah, but that's a you problem. That's the way that you're interpreting it, as opposed to the way that he's interpreting it. So the way that he's interpreting it, he's not racist. You are, for saying that you want qualified people in qualified roles. That's just, how dare you?
Problem, and I feel bad for you. You know, because I don't prioritize diversity. Like I said earlier, I'm all for calling out shitty diversity. But like, yeah, if I see a black person playing a traditionally white role, my first fucking reaction is, oh, okay, cool. Why is yours any different? That's what I want to know. Why is yours any fun? Why do you hate black people so much that you assume a black person in a traditionally white role has to be a diversity hire? That's what I'm curious about. Can you explain that to me?
I could, but you banned me.
Let me see. The Black Dude is the hottest movie right now. That's not a big budget.
The Blackness is doing really well.
It's doing very well for itself. Yeah, dude, no, honestly, it's gonna be like another week or two.
What's up, Craig? You want to marry him, Craig?
Craig,
I hear he has a girlfriend, Craig.
Who fucking cares what the race of
any
character is?
He did ratio you, and I wanted him to include it in this video.
Like white, black, or brown. If they're good for the role, they're good for the fucking role, dude. Let's go. Honestly, I don't know how the market is biased against black actors, and Will Smith was 90% of movies. Yeah, when you grew up with.
When you grew up.
You know what though?
I love you. How did you type that?
Well, you see, Will Smith isn't relevant anymore, so what can you do?
Yeah. And who knows when Danger grew up?
How did you type out the sentence?
Yeah,
when I grew up, you didn't instantly realize why that's a stupid thing. When did you grow up, Danger? Was it any time in the recent film market?
I'm sorry, I grew up on the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Uncle Phil is very based.
I tell you, my critics
Uncle
are
Phil
the biggest
was
bunch of fucking morons
Shredder.
out there. Well, I grew up watching black people on TV. How can you say that there's no black people on TV now?
Is he Shredder?
I'm pretty sure he was the voice of Shredder,
okay.
Uncle Phil.
You're not answering my question, Rippaverse. You're not answering my question. Why do you assume all black actors are diversity hires? Do you believe black people are talented and smart enough to succeed?
He was saying when you prioritize
I don't automatically assume diversity hires when I see a black actor.
It sucks
I don't
that people
automatically assume they're part of an agenda. You know what I think when I see a black?
It sucks that people have to kind of think about that now. If it wasn't like kind of mandatory and it wasn't something that happened, a lot of people wouldn't have to think about that. That seems like a lot of undue pressure that a lot of black actors would have to go on. Did they actually get the role on merit or not? That really is heartbreaking, and that's really shitty.
Yeah.
In any situation,
it's a good point.
Whether it be like a traditionally white role or not, hey, good for them. I hope they're good for the role. That's it. That's all I care about. All right, guys, that's going to be it for tonight.
That's also what that statement
says.
Thank
you all
though.
for watching. Hit like.
They hope they're good in the role.
Like, and then let's get on this motherfucker, right?
I like.
All right, so I really like this guy too. This is LG. He's awesome. Check out his channel. But yeah, I had to include part of one of the videos that he did the other day, which was actually going through a Rippaverse goalpost video. And Rippaverse kind of goes through a bunch of these detractors, and Dane, Bob, the usual suspects come up. But Ed happens to come up on here. And LG has a few things to say about Ed, and apparently it really gets through to Ed. So let's see.
Oh, amazing.
How does he change Ed's mind?
This dude right here. This dude right here. Because he hangs with these people, right? He hangs with these. Because I've actually, commented on a couple of his shorts and his videos. But like these are the people, right? So I got on this dude because this dude literally, and I got to find that video. Where is it? Because there was a video of him literally. Right? Watch this.
Goddamn right I did, buddy. 100%. Yes, I did. And I'll say it again.
He did post it.
There you go.
So it's not from this one. He confidently said that. That was from your talk with him before,
right?
I believe.
This clown right here. Oh, I got on his ass. I'm about to get on him. And I might actually have him on a video one day. I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but I'm trying not to entertain too much stupidity. But my brain can only take too much stupidity one day.
You come to the wrong place.
But no, like I can't. Like these are the people. It's exposing how these people really feel, right? These are the people that believe that Eric July is a grifter. They believe that Eric July is some of them are accusing him of racist stuff with no proof, right?
Yeah.
But
it would be awesome if they had some proof for that heavy accusation.
With other things, like I said, we just found out this dude's over here calling Eric July Uncle Tom. Now, for those of y'all who don't know what that is, go look it up. The connotation is pretty bad because it was taken originally from a good thing to its racist connotation now. But yeah, it's bad.
Apparently, that actually got through to Ed, and he looked it up.
Before I get into that, there is something that I need to address. This is a bit of I'll just go ahead and address it. I've been using a term for a while. Let's say Uncle T. Let's just leave it at that. And I've been using it wrong this whole time. Unfortunately, like I've always known it as a term for someone who essentially like a black person who belittles or looks down or hates on other black people's success, or essentially kind of puts white supremacy over their own people and stuff like that. And I thought that was the commonly used like settled definition of that word, you know.
You did?
And that was because I assumed that the book that it was based on was about that thing, right? But you know, in having a discussion about it with LG, who is actually one of my critics.
So LG just had a video, and he said, you know, maybe he'll have a talk with Ed, and then Ed just said after having a discussion with LG. So this would kind of imply that, you know, like they had a conversation or something, right?
Yeah,
like,
I thought
something
they
probably
did.
happened behind the scenes. Yeah, so I actually reached out to LG, and he's like, yeah, no, I've never talked to him in my life. So I don't know. It was just that clip that we saw was the discussion that got through to Ed. Unless he's talking about a different LG, coincidentally. I suppose that's an option. But
maybe he meant his TV.
It could be, but yeah, apparently there is no behind the scenes discussion. It's just this. So yeah, I'll let Ed explain.
Funny enough, you know, I learned that first of all, that's not what the book is. Well, let's put it this way: there is a debate to be had about that book, and as someone who has neither read the book or is black myself, that's not my conversation to have. You know, I could be a conservative grifter and pretend that I am an expert on Uncle Tom's Cabin because, well, you know, it's the name of the book, because I read the Wikipedia. But unlike Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, based off what I've read from the summary on Wikipedia,
you're not going to do that.
I could see the debate, I could see the ambiguity and stuff like that. So while I unapologetically will readily say whenever asked about the issue, about Eric July specifically, I think that guy has serious like hatred and dislike for seeing other black people succeed.
Citation needed. Like, again, I'm not seeing anywhere where that has happened. The closest was like, you know, I can't remember her name, whatever the lady
T. Franklin.
T. Franklin, thank you, who came up with Sun Spider. I don't know. It's an interesting character, I guess. That depiction was interesting. And
T. Franklin came after him.
But I didn't see him going after her based off of her race. And I don't think he was saying, like, you should have been white. I don't know. I would want Ed to actually back this up. But yeah, would you, you know, still call someone racist in the middle of your apology for using slurs? I don't know. It seems like it might be ill-placed in the middle of an apology, but I'm sure he, you know, brings it back home and just truly takes credit for this and, you know, makes everything right. Let's see.
Unless it's within like his specific definitions of like what is acceptable that are completely arbitrary. Because look, as much as whatever you feel about canon, like black people exist, they're real human beings, and canon is relating to fiction.
The part of Eric July's canon is that black people don't exist. Okay, I don't know. I guess I missed that part, but yeah. Granted, I'm no, you know, I don't know every bit of canon, but I didn't think that was part of it. But
you know, it's that grin. He has to prove he's right. That's like his little tell. Like
you can tell he's really sorry right there. You know, this feels authentic. Let's get the rest of the apology. I'm sure he's going to bring it back around.
But what was I saying?
Oh,
yeah, but you know that I will not back down on. I genuinely believe that, and I think that
he's
between what I've done on my channel and the initiative has done on my channel, I think there's a lot of evidence to back that up. You know,
won't provide any of it now.
Blasting is another issue and stuff like that. But primarily, what I am here to say is I apologize for using that term. You know, and I will not be using it moving forward. And I felt it was important for me to be transparent and upfront about that, because if I wasn't, then I'd be no better than the Nerdrotics and the Geeks and Gamers who I criticize and stuff like that.
That's definitely how we should end all apologies. If we ever do anything wrong, we'll just say, and I'm sorry, but if I didn't say that, then that would make me just as bad as everyone from the fandom initiative. I don't know. It just seems to like take all, you know, actual like ownership of the apology, all sincerity right out of it. I don't know. It seems like a shitty way to end an apology is to be, you know, asshole. And that's why it makes me better than these people that I'm better than. There we go.
Well, he even said like, you know, he's like, I would never do that because they would never go ahead and look things up and just check on Wikipedia. And it's like, motherfucker, you've been saying this for like a month. Like,
you just literally banned people for trying to correct you and point this out to you.
Yeah,
but yeah,
which is what he said you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, you know, you see something racist, you say, hey, call it out. Hey, that's racist, buddy. Maybe don't do that.
And you're supposed to accept it, but I don't know.
Well, you are the company you keep.
Well, I'm sure he's going to formally.
I'd like to formally say that I will never call him a wet bee.
Yeah,
again,
that would be
the way I did
for sure.
When I specifically said it about him.
we're almost done with this. I think there's like one more line, and you never have called him that, and you never would because slurs are wrong.
That people make mistakes. This was my mistake, big mistake.
He's owned it,
but,
so we're all good now.
We learn and we move forward, and that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, we're moving forward, so it's all gone. It's all over. Okay, everything's great.
Yeah, good.
So one more little piece to this amazing puzzle. I guess I'll have to go back to the slideshow. So yeah, this is kind of small. So hopefully you can zoom it in or whatever. But I got it. I'll read it so that we can see this. But yeah, on your actual screens, sorry, this is a bit small, but it was the only way to fit it. So this was a comment under Ed's original video, the one that you got banned off of. Troy McClure, who is a fan. I believe I've seen him on Bob's things a lot.
He comes from Will Screedia.
I was not sure of that. But yeah, I tried to ignore it, but Uncle Tom does carry some bit of racism with it. It's not the same as a non-black person saying the N-word, but for a lot of black people, it's the closest equivalent if a black person says it to another. I believe it was Dane, if I'm not mistaken, that sort of got the ball rolling. He tried to argue it and it was not. It was Will Screedia. He tried to argue it was from a literary original meaning stance, but I kind of think that's like saying the F slur is not a hate term since it originally meant to refer to a bundle of sticks. Just my 2 cents. So that seems like a reasonable comment. And then how Ed backed that up. So this is before his apology, before LG made his video. Ed says, I can easily admit it when it is an insult. And yeah, I get that racial undertones of it, but if Eric July were white, he would be considered racist, considering his constantly discounting black people's success and belittling anyone who disagrees with him. I mean, what else does anyone supposed to think? Sorry. There were a few spelling errors in there, but basically he's still justifying it even after that person said that. So you tried to explain it to him in chat. A few other people were doing that. Danger tried to do it that same night. Troy McClure, who he knows is not an enemy, tried to explain that to him. Still, finally, he heard it from a person of color, and it sunk in. I'm glad he has made this change. I'm glad that he's not going to be using this slur going forward, but what the hell, man? It really sucks that it took all of this to get to there. It feels like he's calling his opposition very close-minded to seeing their own racism, yet when it was in his own face, he also could not see it. Let's have some empathy. What the hell, man?
Yeah, we're changing minds and changing hearts. That's the goal.
That's my goal. See, it just comes at the cost of you getting banned.
Hey, if that's what it takes, it's a small price to pay.
Yes,
I had to throw myself into traffic
to the spikes
to stop the bus from hitting the children, and that's what I did. And I'm a hero to black, white, and Mexican people.
You are a hero, and it took you, jumping on that grenade to get the ball rolling to get this healing to happen. And I think you've made this all come into play.
And I'll do it again.
You, sir, made somebody become less racist. Thank you. That is a big thing. Okay. Any final thoughts? Tiamat, you've been through all this a little bit longer than us. Any final thoughts on watching Ed's journey to realizing that he was being pretty damn racist?
Well, I mean, if you want the truth, it's like I've never hated him because it's like he can change. Like I've gotten him to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it is like that. I should rephrase it this way to be more sense. You can get honesty out of him. Now, there's always going to be a gap between a person like me and him, or you, any of us enlightened centrists, so to speak, right? But like, if you, I know it's a joke, Dane, but if you basically argue with him, and I have argued with him, he does see merit in it. Like with me, like I know he can change, but it's just like it is a very hopeful sign. Like we do make an impact on him, but at the same time, it shouldn't take this.
It has taken way too much. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on.
But I say is you are the company that you keep, right?
Indeed. And that's why I keep Patrick's company. I also want to make less racist in this world.
See, that's why I say we're all brothers being banned by Dane and dealing with his community. But like I've dealt with him longer, and then I've been more in the trenches without it. With it.
Yeah, you have served your tour of duty for sure.
Yeah, I still go after them. I'm not going to say what I'm not saying I don't
see you in the chat every once in a while. Still fighting the good fight.
You see me in Ed's chat, but
yes, sorry, that was the chat that I referred to. Sorry. Yes, we are all banned from
and
Dane's,
Patrick, remember to create 1,000 alts to go into Dane's chat.
No,
the North remembers.
Never do that. Patrick, do you have any final thoughts on your whole journey here? And
I do.
You're bringing a man to his senses.
I do. I'd like to take full credit for it, but I think LG really made him understand. Maybe he was sober when he heard that. And not knocking his drinking or anything. I used to drink a lot, and everybody deserves a drink when they work a long week. And but my main thing is when Ed watches this, you can unban me or unblock me or whatever you want. It's
nice.
It's a base
Seems
life.
like the least he could do.
I know that reading comprehension can be difficult after some cocktails, so I'll accept the fact that you misread what I was chatting to you and that you misread the situation. It's fine. It happens to the best of us. Also, I genuinely think you're a decent person, and that I would, if you ever want to bullshit about movies, Gray and I have kind of talked about maybe a little segment we have coming up in the future with movies, and I think you'd be an interesting person to talk to about that.
For sure.
So maybe we could actually have a conversation and not have it be about any of this fucking bullshit. Like, just let's talk about some stuff we like, movies,
For sure.
And I appreciate you guys being here. Also, I always enjoy it.
For sure. And I've enjoyed you guys being here. And I think I've definitely said my piece in there. But I do want to add, Ed, we don't hate you, man. I will be down to have a conversation with you. But let's have an actual conversation. I don't feel like we did last time. But everybody, thanks for joining us. Patrick, Tiamat, thanks for joining me. This was awesome. I wish it was under better circumstances, but hey, it brought about understanding, reasoning. We got to see somebody change their mind in real time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's very exciting.